Hello.
Cool, man.
Pretty good. How you doing?
All right. Is it okay if I'm on speaker? I work best that way.
Yeah, that totally works.
Cool. Hey, you know what? One thing I forgot to mention out there. Let's not talk about politics. That's ridiculous. It's stupid. Relevant thing, but not really part of the world that I think we're going to be talking about here. So
Okay.
cool. All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Whatever it's all good. So I'm just chilling. I'm rolling around here. I just picked up my mail. Got some records. Are you a vinyl guy? You listen to albums?
I like vinyl. I own a couple, but I don't own a record player.
Got it. Yeah. That makes it a little easier to play the stuff. For me, I grew up with that was my medium of listening to things. So I still do it, man. It's addicted, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I'm a music collector in general. So I have a million CDs. I have some cassette tapes still. I have a couple vinyl. Um,
were you aware that me and Spider and Dorian and let's see who else was there? I don't even know. It doesn't matter. But we all when we were working at Tower Records, we were all in the cassette tape department. So, needless
okay.
to say, I got like 8 trillion cases in storage of cassettes, that we either hijacked or were promos or whatever the heck, was. This is like late 80s, or no, yeah, late 80s, because, we were just getting to know one another, sort of a thing there.
Yeah. Up in
Right?
Boston area.
Yeah, yeah. Corner of Newberry and Mass Ave, to
Okay.
be specific. yeah.
So
Like I said, photographic memory thing. Plus, I have tons of film footage. I used to have some people follow me around and kind of documented that whole phase.
what back there?
Yeah, all through Boston, like all through school and stuff. I had some buddies that this is pre-Powerman too, but it went into that.
Well, that's pretty
Yeah,
neat.
I have footage that I occasionally, when dudes come visit 30 years later, I bust that out and they're like, "Holy shit!" They're filming it for their kids, and it's like, "Can I show this to my kids?" They'll never believe it.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Secret footage. So that's probably how I remember a lot of these things too, because I have like access to it. If I wanted to dig into my brain, I just dig into the box,
Okay.
and pull.
So,
Anyway,
do you want to start uh, like modern to backward, or do you want to start from the beginning to now?
I'll let you do whatever you want to do. I
Okay.
like to keep it like this random, just random sort of stuff. You'll probably notice that I'm like a tangent sort of a guy. If you
That's totally okay. Yeah, I prefer
give me a
just you talking. So,
Yeah, if you give me a subject, I might rant and go like left turn and then make a right turn and then turn left again. But it'll all comes back around. Usually, I'll cap it off with that. Sometimes that'll occur. So just to give you a warning.
okay, that's fine.
All good.
Um, so I guess I did have a couple little questions from the beginning, not of Power Man, but just your beginning.
Yeah.
So, what made you pick up the sticks?
Well, according to the family, my family, uh, apparently in the womb I was already banging around, and then I come from a musical family. My mother's a musician. She was an entertainer. She used to tour, all this kind of stuff. And you wouldn't know her, and she's not like famous or whatever. In her little world, she is. But anyway, I grew up in a musical atmosphere, so it wasn't very long after I was born, around three and a half maybe. Drums were presented to me, and then I started going, and then that's it. I don't know why. Here's the best quote of all. I didn't choose music. Music chose me. End of story. I was like unaware. I don't even know what was going on. I don't. All I heard was the sounds, man, and I just started going, and that's
And
basically it.
and it never stopped.
No, in fact, I got little students now that, like a little 10-year-old guy. He's like my little fan club president that doesn't exist. The non-existent fan club. He's like. You've been playing drums for 53, however long you were born on. He's telling me telling me my life story like every day, just in case. So if anybody has any questions, I should have just had this 10-year-old guy call you. He could have probably answered every question if he probes me for questions about the band and life and whatever. So anyway,
Nothing wrong with that.
that was tangent.
So you just naturally were born playing drums, obviously.
Apparently, that's what I've been. Yeah, and it's still there, and it will remain there probably forever and ever and ever as far as that goes.
Now, what did you? Well, we'll say what did your family listen to while you were growing up, and then what did you kind of start listening to on your own?
Wow. Well, what was going on around that time? If I'll just drop names like Engelbert Humperdinck, Charlie Rich. Those two come to mind. Also, I'm we are family friends with Bobby Vinton and his family. If you ever know that music, you ever hear that guy? He was pretty well known back in the late 50s and 60s. He had a song called "She Wore Blue Velvet." You know what I mean? You know that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Anyway, so we these people. So there was always that element of celebrity and whatever. What was the question again? I'm going on a tangent. What was the question?
What your family listened to,
Oh yeah,
and then you.
Okay, yeah. So that kind of stuff was obviously there, and then Frankie Avalon and all that sort of East Coasty sort of stuff. Like I said, this is stuff connections from my mother because she used to tour with these people as a floor show dancing singer comedian sort of thing.
Okay.
And then outside of that, she was also a dancing teacher. So what became my jam room was her dance studio. So I grew up hearing music that they were dancing to, and that was not what I just said. That was what she was listening to. But what they were dancing to was like Creedence Clearwater Revival, like Susie Q. I remember hearing that as a kid, and various what do you call them, pop songs or rock disco. I don't remember disco wasn't a thing yet, but rock-ish music, pop tunes of the 60s. I was born in the 60s, so
yeah,
that stuff. And then so put all that together, and that's I think that's maybe what, now that I just said that, that's probably why my circle is very wide of the music and art and whatever that I visually and audible stuff is massive. You know what I mean? Anything from piece of shit music to the greatest stuff in the world, because I can get that crappy music and maybe find something good out of it, or maybe find something not to do, by listening to it. So I always listen to stuff, like even when people used to give us tapes and things, I wouldn't just throw it away. I would listen to it, then throw it away. No, just kidding. I would listen to it at least and then go, okay, cool, this is, whatever. Just at least listen to it, check it out. So anyway, I was very inquisitive, and still to this day, I'm always asking questions of why.
Hey, there's literally nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like to ask questions and learn, and I mean, obviously, I'm learning from you right now, so.
And I'm learning from you. See, it's the same deal. Like, it goes back and forth, because my students, the same deal. It's like, and I'm not calling you a student, we're just talking, but when I talk to these people, I'm learning from them as much as they're learning from me. In fact, I think I'm learning more from them than they're getting from me. You know what I mean? I'm just, like I tell them, I have a light, and I'm shining this light for you, You want to follow this light? I'll show you where to go, and you can make a decision whether you want to do this. I mean, picking notes and whatnot, I'm not going to tell you what to play exactly, because I want you to play yourself, be yourself, that whole deal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so what was the first album that you ever bought for yourself? Or you ever asked to buy, from your parents?
Well, back in the early, I can tell you this, I don't know if this was the first album, but it's a kind of a not crazy, but interesting little story that I remember. I grew up in an area in Pennsylvania where Kmart was like the big place, and they had this thing called the Blue Light Special. They would go, okay, Kmart shoppers in aisle 14, we have the Blue Light Special, and tonight's is the Tubes album. So I was like, holy crap! I was with my grandma. I'm like, let's go to the thing. I love the band The Tubes. I was into that song, White Punks on Dope and whatever. And of course, I had some people hated it. Like, White Punks on Dope? What the heck is that? So we eventually went over to the thing, the little wagon, and I grabbed that record. And do you know what that record looks like? I mean, the back cover specifically.
Do I know?
The one it's their second or third album. Long story short, it's got the female singer in the back, like naked she's got inner tubes, like she got latex
Okay.
that her
Yeah.
crotch is exposed and an inner tube around her breasts and whatever. And my grandma was looking at that. She's like, what the fuck? You know. But she bought it for me, you know, and then that happened a few other times too. Like they look at the cover and like, what the? I'm like, no, it's just it's not the music. And then you play the music, of course they hear it and ran for the hills. And now they accepted it, I guess, to a certain degree, because I still have those records I'm looking at them right now. Those records, those particular ones, because I have those too, you know. Anyway.
Okay.
Tangent.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't know.
Did you? I'm not gonna say take lessons because obviously you were already kind of playing, but
eventually, yeah. I started by good question. Yeah, I started just by ear, like most people that I know, you know. And then eventually, well, see, this story takes a left turn here because I don't think I took lessons until I maybe was in like the little school band or whatever. Long story short, I wanted to play the snare drum in the, whatever you call it, the little band.
Yeah.
I think it was grade school, maybe like grade school. Yeah, something like that. 1 through 6 was my grade school. Kindergarten through 6 or whatever. Anyway, that wasn't available because there's only one snare drum. It was like a small cast of people, barely anybody played. Little people, little kids.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that was left was trumpet. I'm like, okay, let me try a trumpet. So they weren't going to go buy me one. So this is back in the day of like going to the local store and renting a trumpet. You know what I mean? So right off the bat, like renting your instrument just like seemed weird to me. So I tried to play the trumpet for a while, and I don't know, I just lost it. I couldn't. I wish I would have stayed with it because I love, you know, of course I love the trumpet now, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So I just drifted back to the drums on myself, and then I think I found like my little neighbor guy or somebody that was the local drummer dude. Oh, no, I remember. No. See, you're digging up stuff here now. I'm digging deep in my mind. I'm thinking about this shit all the time. My mom, once again, back to my mother, man. Jesus. She had this dancing school, and they marched in the parade. You know what I mean? Like, and there was like people with the little banner and the flag people, and she had all her students marching.
Yeah.
Well, there was a drum line consisted of 3 snares and a bass drum. I was in that drum line. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I learned too. So one of the people that she hired was this older dude, black guy.
Okay.
You know, oddly enough, just weird because there weren't. I don't even want to go that route, but I don't know why I said that, but I just wanted to say it because that's where I got the element of, I think, all the blues and the funk and stuff that I really, he grew up listening to that. He knew Led Zeppelin or whatever, but he knew more like Funkadelic and Sly Stone and all the Hendrix and all that. I was like, whoa, man, what the hell is this? Because I was a kid. I didn't know what was going on. I'm just listening to the radio.
Yeah.
So I started taking a few lessons with him. And that didn't last very long. I don't know why, but he moved away or something like that. So, and I lost touch with him, and I didn't catch up with him until my first time I ever went to L.A., and that's where he was. And just weirdly enough, we connected up somehow, and it was in 1987. So I hadn't seen him for almost maybe 15, well, a lot of years. I hadn't seen him. So. And that's the last time I saw him, too. And I cannot find him either. I look online. You know, you can find anybody that you don't want to find. But the people you want to find, I can't find him. So, and I lost touch with him, so I don't know where he's at. See, I'm rolling out. I'm saying that. So then I moved to the guitar because I wanted to take, I was still playing drums, obviously, but I started to take guitar lessons because I liked the guitar. So I was sitting around learning Stairway to Heaven or whatever the heck was going on. I got tired of that. Yeah. And I just started playing it on my own. And that led to other instruments. It just went down the line. Not like I'm a massive multi-instrumentalist, but I play a few, not the whole orchestra, but enough to do what I needed to do, or what I need to do for me and, or whoever I work with or for, or this and that. So, yeah, I did take lessons eventually, but not really. I wouldn't call it serious. I quit, I think I quit. I don't know. They just fizzled away. It disappeared. I don't remember what happened. Just like, poof.
So, gone. Are there any instruments that you just do not like?
Do not like? Another good question. I don't know. Probably. I can't say no because there might be instruments that are, I can't say. I don't know how to answer that because there may be instruments like music.
Well, I mean more like personally you playing them, not listening to.
Oh, I thought you meant just the world of
Yeah.
instruments. Yeah. Well, I'm a rhythmatist, I think, at heart and soul. You know what I mean? The groove, the foundation, grunts and groans beating on the ground. You know what I mean? Like before there was anything, before there was voices, there was grunt. You know, like that's rhythm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the rhythm would be the percussion area is what I'm getting at, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's what grabbed me. Well, check this out. I mean, if you think of the concept of when you're in the womb, you can't see anything other than, well, I don't know, yeah, you can't see, your eyes are not open, so, but your ears are working, and you hear your mother's heartbeat, and that's a tempo, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the first thing for 9 months, all you hear is, you know what I mean? So if you think of that, that's the answer. That's it, for me.
Okay.
So the heartbeat, which is what the percussion area is, right? Foundation, whatever you want to call it. And it builds from there. Like I tell my students, you don't build a freaking house from the roof down. You build it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And I think that's why rhythm sections aren't, I mean, typically, they aren't appreciated enough, not just the drums, but drums and bass. And,
I think it's stigmatized by the Neanderthal, which I just mentioned, but people go, drummers are stupid, that whole beating on things. That's just a uneducated person or whatever. If you really know what's going on, it's equal to anything in terms of learning technique and control and all the things that one needs to either play an instrument or even survive in life. Control, finesse, compassion, all these things, respect, all the things just in life you can do with an instrument. Sadly, people don't do that in life.
Not enough anyway.
Not enough. Yeah, that's more of the point.
So did you start a band when you were like in high school?
I did. I started a band when I was in grade school.
Okay.
Remember, my mother was this person that was around town again, so I could get gigs wherever I want, and I remember some crazy situations. But yeah, I had little bands, either playing covers or starting to do, trying to write. I had a Fostex 4-track, just like Spider said, the same thing. Only this was like 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
I had that little thing, and I'm making tapes, and I love the Beatles, of course. Like anything that was already, I was aware of the Beatles, of course. Christ, I mean, if that could have been the first record I would buy, that probably would have been it. But that didn't come out when you asked me that question. But the Beatles, so the Beatles led me to, all kinds of everything. How could you, in the 60s, I'm born a year before the Beatles hit America, so, it's like, the Beatles were all over the frickin' radio and on the charts, and if you were aware of that, like I was, because my people were music people, whether I liked it or not, it was there, available for me to look at and or hear or see, TV or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I forgot the question again.
No, it was just bands in school.
So yeah, I've been all the way. Bands. I've been in bands all the way until, well, now, I guess. I mean, I'm in a band, but I kind of not in a band, because it's a DYS thing. I mean, last time we played, I think it was 2 years ago in Europe somewhere. We don't really play a lot here, but, well, you know what I mean? So, and then just the other day, they're like, yeah, we're going to go do a run, and same run we did last time with, like, whoever it was, Rammstein, whoever it was, I don't remember, Rancid or somebody, whatever, in Europe, and just a bunch of festivals and stuff, and, for next year, though, like literally a year from right now. And I know you book these things ahead and whatever, don't you? But I'm like, man, I really kind of burnt on the road here. And I was with Dorian the other day. I'm like, kind of, it's fine, if I could teleport myself right there.
Yeah.
And then just play the shows and be all good and teleport myself back.
But just the actual traveling aspect, the time thing.
The travel, the travel and everything that's connected to that kind of a tour. It's a punk rock tour, even though it might be a higher level than just whatever. It's still a punk rock tour.
Yeah.
It's bare bones, I mean, there's money to be made, but not, it's not like, it's not what you come for, what I want to do necessarily anymore.
Yeah.
So, I'm a horrible traveler. Anybody would tell you that. Spider and these people remember I'd be barfing constantly. In fact, we'd always carry a bucket or a bag wherever I was at if there's a plane involved because I'd be barfing somewhere. And that'd be all good. Like, okay, let's go. Same deal. I got footage of that that too. Just coming out of an elevator, like in a hotel, my drunk tech guy Sean would be. He's like, "Oh, you look like you're ready to go." He went and grabbed a trash can over there, and I just went, and then we said, "Oh, cool, man. Let's go get some food."
So have you always been like that?
No, only just no. It's just probably the stress of flying, and then the I wouldn't call it pressure, but once again, you want to be great. You want to play great. You want to feel great. You want to play good for the people out there and people that pay money to come see you and all that. And you want to be top notch, and that's a lot of pressure for me. I get nervous. You know what I mean? I'm still stage fright, but just like anxiety to perform.
Yeah.
Like drugs. I mean, it is. It's a drug. It's like it's craving those endorphins or whatever it is. You know.
I think it's natural.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it's
Like
if you don't have butterflies at all of any
Right.
kind, I think that's kind of a bad sign.
100%. I tell the kids that all the time, and I even talked to Dorian about that the other day, because he's like, yeah, it's always hectic right before the show, and stuff. I get it. No worries, man. I'll do it. We'll catch up in a minute. But the kids, I'll tell them, they're like, man, I'm really scared. I'm like, yeah, good, because if you weren't, I'd be kind of nervous. You think you're the shit, and you got it together. You don't. But that anxiety is good because you're anticipating, and it's pressuring you to do good, and that adrenaline's starting to kick in, and they think of it as fear. Yeah. Maybe it is fear a little bit, but I think of it as just excitement and turn it into the positive again. As much as people think that I might be a negative thinker, I always try to spin the positive on it if I can.
Sure.
All the time, no matter what. But anyway, yeah, that was a good question.
So, after high school, then, what was your first semi-serious?
Well, after high school, we're going a whole shebang here. After high school, by that time, by the time I graduated high school, I was already studying seriously, like theory, operatic vocal, classical piano, never drums, always everything, piano, theory, arrangement, because after high school, I wanted to further my education. I wanted to be better, and for me, I wanted to study the craft. So what do you study the craft? That kind of collegiate sort of a thing, an academic thing.
Sure.
And believe me, I'm not a guy coming from academia. I hated school. I would have quit if I, you know what I mean? Like, I hated high school. I mean, it was fun and stuff, but I don't know. The subject, same old deal. Hated school.
Yeah.
And then now here I am, fucking teaching. So it's a complete crazy circle once again. But let me see. That blew my mind for a second. Like I said, we're digging deep here, so this is like blowing my mind. What was the question again?
Your first serious band or project?
So I'm studying with this lady. I'm not going to mention all kinds of names. We'll be here forever. But I started studying with the lady. I went to community college and I quit because there was only one music class and it sucked. And so I found this lady, and now that I'm thinking backwards, I said I started with her in high school, so that nixed what I just said. I found her after. Whether I found her before or after, the point is I'm with this lady studying serious, and we were looking for a place for me to go to school.
Okay.
College. So we're looking around. We're looking at the method that I was studying, because she was a Canadian transplant from London who had studied there. She was like a master's in everything and played the bassoon and all this other crazy stuff. It was in the Royal fucking Canadian Orchestra and whatever. She makes her own reeds. She's famous in her own world of the bassoon.
Okay.
But incredible player, like high end, serious classical and all that kind of stuff. So I'm working with her, and we've made the big list. Okay, you got Trinity College of Music, London. Well, that's kind of far. It was very expensive back in 84. And then there's like, okay, Oberlin, that's wherever, that's somewhere. And then the Miami program where, Jocko and all these other people went. And then there's this sort of contemporary jazz rock sort of pop-y place or whatever called Berklee College of Music, and that's sort of near. And then there's the New York. There's so I had never left home like on my own before.
Yeah.
And believe me, I was 21 or 22, but it's still, I was studying, And at that time, it wasn't like a weird thing to be still living at your home, because here's the deep thing. Now we're getting even deeper. I was a caregiver for a later, and that's what happened. See, they passed away, and that triggered me to go, okay, well, now, because I would have left earlier.
Yeah.
It was my grandfather, he had Alzheimer's disease, but they didn't know what that was, and my mother and my grandmother couldn't handle it, you know what I mean? It's too much of a physical burden, it's like, and mental too, but it's, you know what I mean? If you ever dealt with it or know anything about that, it's pretty hairy, it's a bummer. You know, you see an old guy turning into like a freaking baby.
Yeah.
For a diaper and shit, you know what I mean? It's like crazy, man. It blows your mind. And I was, 20, 21, and 19, 20, 21, whatever. You know, and that was my world at that time, along with doing everything I just said. So once that all came to a close, long story short, I wound up going to Berkeley. And the crazy thing about that is I got accepted and I got tested out of stuff too, because I had studied with this lady, and that was what the purpose was. So I didn't have to. I could do as much music classes as I wanted, as opposed to having to do all the other required ones. You know, because it's Berkeley, psychology and English and all these other things too. It's not just music.
Okay.
It's a degree, kind of just like a little, we call it a certificate. They have that too, but this is the degree, bachelor's degree, master's degrees, and whatever, doctorates and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I went there, was accepted, but didn't sign up yet because I had nowhere to live. When you go there, I don't know if this is a good part of the story or not, but it's a story nonetheless. When you go there, if you're 18, you can go right in the dorm. Well, I was 21 or 2 or whatever the heck it was. So I had to be put on a waiting list. So my mission for that weekend is, and once again, I went to Boston to just check in and find a place to live. In 2 days, I took my stick bag, my little suitcase, and that's about it, I think, because I didn't know what was up. And if I did get accepted, then I'd have my buddy drive my shit up from Pennsylvania, okay, which wasn't that far enough, but not that far. So I found a place to live, an hour and a half away, but still, I found a place to live. So I lived there for a little bit, and then I went to school, started going to school, and then eventually I got, I got accepted on the list, and then I moved into the dorm, and then I don't even know what I'm talking about, but then I was there for the next, let's just say I was in Boston for 10 years, and then that's sort of where the band nucleus sort of started. Me and Dorian,
yeah, we
were doing other stuff. Dorian, I was always working, you know what I mean, no matter what. I worked in everything, a fucking Celtic metal band, a polka band, a freaking GB band where I was the singer. I sang in a metal band, I sang with Anthrax, I did all these crazy, like I said, I used to sing a lot back in the day. Okay. Along with drumming, because see, when I was playing in these top 40 bands in Pennsylvania, I was the singer and drummer, you know what I mean, along with 2 other girls that sang the women shit, and I sang all the guy things, Anyway, so I used to do a lot of vocals, and so I would do any gigs, and Spider and all these dudes used to come see me play with all these bands. Before Powerman was even a band, even a thought.
Yeah.
All these dudes were at my shows. I could tell crazy stories, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. I'll leave it at that. But nothing bad. It's just kind of embarrassing. Little things happen here and there. When we were young-ish, 20s, something. Everybody, all of us, kind of stupid, drunken things happen. But, so I was always working. And like I said, Dorian was my go-to guy. In fact, here's a tangent again. I don't remember the question. But anyway, Dorian, he's the most, like, if there was one bass player that I played with the most in my entire life, it would be him.
Yeah.
Even to this day, just in general, because we've made records together, and prior to that, we played in a ton of, I used to MD these jams, a Monday night jam. There's a book coming out about it right now, these things that we used to do, this crazy other guy I know. In fact, he's in Vegas. No, he's in San Francisco. Never mind. Where are you at, in Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay, this dude's in San Francisco. Anyway, but we used to do these things called Monday night jams, where it was like a jam, a rock thing or whatever, in a really nice club. And then I'd have celebrity guests come up, whoever I knew that was in. See, once again, I wasn't like some big shit, but I knew people, and I knew people who knew people. So I'd get local Boston people to come down, like the dude from Till Tuesday, the guitar player, or whoever's like in town, nobody like Aerosmith or nothing like that, but local people that are seriously happening that don't have a big head yet, or legends that are like, okay, well, like the dudes from Jay Giles, they would come in, a couple of them, not Peter, that's a whole other story. I played with him for about 5 minutes, it was crazy. Didn't happen, let's leave it at that. So anyway, I don't know, I'm on the Dorian kick here, but you know, him and I were just working a lot. So, like I said, I forgot what the question was.
We'll move forward with it. You had mentioned that you and Dorian had been working together way before Powerman and leading up to, obviously. So, where did those seeds plant? What was it? Well, with you and Dorian, like, do you remember how you met?
Oh, how we met? We met at school. We were both Berkeley students. He was a drummer, and so was I.
Okay.
I think he lived on my floor. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Holy shit! I didn't even think about that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was definitely the Berkeley thing. I mean, we were all on the same floor. And I could tell you who's on our floor. 3/5 of fucking Dream Theater. Half a Living Color. Yeah, there's a lot of. Portnoy lives right across the thing here. In fact, his son is the boyfriend of one of my. Well, she became famous with one of my ex-students, which is hilarious. You know, it's just crazy because he looks like Mike.
Yeah.
When I knew Mike when he was 18. I knew Mike when he was 18. You know, now he's fucking 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
This was a long time ago.
I met Max last year, actually. I did an interview with his band.
You know his girlfriend's band? They're called Dollskin.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they were all my students. They were. Now they're big shits. I was just with the drummer yesterday. It was her birthday because when they're not on tour, I mean, they might be known, but they're broke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like anything, you might be doing shows, but you ain't got money. You know, you're not getting paid yet. You're paying to, you know.
You're rock stars.
Yeah, exactly. That must mean I'm broke. You ever read that article about Steve? Oh my God, Toto guitar player. Oh my God, Steve. Come on, what's his name, man? Help me out. Steve Lukather. He wrote this. You know who I'm talking about now? Toto guitar player.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Rippin' legend, studio guy, albums, whatever. Play with everybody.
Yeah.
I think he's currently in Ringo Starr's all-star touring band right now. But anyway, he wrote this thing about I know so many platinum selling artists that have all these records on their wall. They're fucking flat broke. You know what I mean? Like I know dudes now that are sitting in an apartment by themselves with records on the wall and like they ain't got a dime like to buy a frickin' donut. You know. Which is the sad reality of it. That's what I said. Fuck Rockstar. I just want to work, man. I just want to keep working.
Yeah.
That celebrity shit comes whether you want it or not, and and you can't. It's kind of hard to control nowadays with the court of public opinion online. It's like you can be destroyed.
Yeah.
Without even waking up yet. You know, it's like what the hell happened? I didn't even what. You know.
Yeah.
You know how it is. It's craziness online. And half time it's a fucking 12-year-old or something. You don't know, or 90-year-old, 12-year-old. You know, some old disgruntled. Whatever, you know what I mean?
Everyone's disgruntled nowadays.
Pretty much, yeah. The things. That's why I stick with the music, man. Hopefully, undisgruntled people, you know, and make them feel again. You know, that's what they need to do. They need to feel again. I don't think people are feeling.
No, everyone's desensitized.
Yeah, we're just reacting. It's crazy. I mean, I do the same thing. I go on a fucking rant all the time about stuff, you know.
Yeah,
but
it's easy to, but. So everything led up to you were working at Tower Records.
Yeah.
And so was Spider?
Spider told you this in his thing. He's like, yeah, I had this thing he was doing with this guy Lamar. He didn't mention his name, but I will. They made their little recording or whatever, and then it garnered some like an award thing from I think it was the Boston Music Awards or whatever. And he came in. He's like, yo, check it out. I was like, wow, man, cool. You know, do you have a band? Because me and Dorian were there. It's like we were already playing every fucking Wednesday and Monday night and whatever, just playing. And at school, every 5 minutes you're playing at in the jam room, or every week, every night it's a different band lineup. You're just fucking around and playing funk, jazz, opera, reggae, or whatever the hell it is. You know, whatever you want to do. 24 hours a day at that place. So that's what we did. So yeah, that was it. And I think we got together with. It was me. It was hilarious. He might not even remember this. We did it in the basement of some weird. I think it might have been our tambourine players, but it's this girl Jill who worked with us at Tower Records. And she'll tell you this now. She's a really well-known roller derby chick. You know, roller derby girls nowadays.
Yeah.
But she played. I think she let us rehearse in her basement, and this is a danky Boston basement. You know, with like pipes and shit with all kind of condensation on it and stuff, real gnarly.
Yeah.
And so with me, Spider, her, and this guy Lamar, who was the producer guy, and maybe Dorian was there. I think he might have been, because that wouldn't make a full sound right there, what we had. Although when I was running, in those days, I used to run tracks on a VCR. We didn't have any money. I had a VCR, and half of VCR is audio and video. So I just used the audio, the 2-channel audio track, and ran it through my little 4-track, and then I could sub-mix things and whatever. And that's, anytime you would hear us live, that would be. I'd have to, in fact, I got videos of, we're playing with that lineup, no guitar yet, and I was like, yo, hit pause. That became like a joke, because the cassette play, the VCR was running constantly until I hit pause so he could talk about something, or if something messed up or whatever.
Yeah.
If the track went crazy. Dorian mentioned that to me the other night about some show that we did in Vegas, and here you go, it's a tangent, but it's a good one though. He says, "Do you remember that night in Vegas?" It's Vegas. It was that. Okay, here you go. You know that picture I sent you the other night? I sent you two. One was from Vegas, and one was from L.A.
Yeah.
Wherever.
Yep.
The Vegas one was at the Mandalay Bay.
Yeah. House
we were headlining. That was a headline show for us there, and it was like God Lives Underwater and Machine Head and whoever the hell it was. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Right, we were in L.A. Our gear was set up and ready to go. It was a sold-out show, right? Our gear was set up and ready to go, but we had to go. We had to stay in L.A. and we worked out a deal with Jimmy AudioVein, because that is, he's an Interscope guy. Dr. Dre's people, whatever, Interscope, the firm, all that stuff. That's Jimmy, Mr. Powerful guy, for that thing there, especially for NWA and all those kinds of things. But anyway, he was connected with us, via music and managerial stuff. And anyway, he had a show called Farm Club Live. Do you remember it?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. Okay. So anyway, he's like, "Can you do the show?" We're like, "Well, we have a thing in Vegas." So whatever happened, we wound up doing the show. But the deal was, yes, we can do this show, but we need to, as soon as it's done, get to the Vegas. So what's the fastest way to get to Vegas? Take your plane.
Yeah.
We said, "Can we borrow your plane?" Or somebody said, "We need to borrow your plane." It's like a G5 or whatever. And it was me, my girl, my tech. Oh, no, not my tech. What am I saying? He was in Vegas setting up my shit. The band. I don't even think Ted was there. Ted Tiedick was our front of house. Because they don't let you do that. You know what I mean? Like, they're people in the control room.
Yeah.
Plus, Ted needed to be there to be checking anyway. So I think the whole crew was in Vegas, and maybe we might have had one person with us to kind of, what do we want to call it, chaperone. Oh, you know who it was? It was probably like a label rep or something like that was with us.
Okay.
That sort of thing. So, long story short, we get to Vegas or whatever, and Dory's like, remember, we had to quickly, something happened with the tapes that we were using, that I run. He says, "You remember we had to frantically, fix that tape and do something?" I'm like, "No, I don't remember, because it's not my department." I said, "I pushed play." He said, "Oh, yeah, that's right. I was the guy that did that." I'm like, "Yeah." So, and basically what happened was, there's 8 clicks. I'll get 4 for me, and then the band will come in.
Yeah.
I'll count the band in, you know what I mean? So anyway, one of the clicks was cut off. So instead of 8 clicks, it was 7. I didn't hear the first, because it wasn't there. I just thought the first one was the first one. So I count the band in 1 click away. So this whole song with the track was a quarter note away. And that song was, I think it might have been World Star. So when shit comes in, it was like a beat later or sooner. I don't know what it was, but it was insane. And of course, when that happens, sometimes all eyes turn behind, because I'm the one hitting the button.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, I hit the button, man. That's make the tape. So he just reminded me that, how crazy it was. And I said, yeah, tapes are, but at least if the tape thing did go off, the whole 90% of the band didn't fall apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some bands, if the tapes are gone, there's one guy going boom, boom, boom. Everybody else is on track. Show on tape. I mean, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
So you messed up the whole show, huh?
No.
I'm kidding.
All I did was play on a messed up editing job. Exactly. But yeah, of course I did.
Okay, so you did Farm Club and then took a plane to Vegas.
Yeah, so that was that, not Vegas, but that was the Vegas story thing where I went crazy with the tape. So to go back to where we were, I was running the VCR, right? That stuff. So that graduated later, and those people left. Then we got a DJ.
Yeah.
DJ Brian Collymore, Furniture makes. See, I'm in touch with him now, so I know this. He's ex-furniture making narcoleptic.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a title.
Yeah, it's insane. Now he's a DJ, an actual DJ. No, I mean, not like a wiki DJ, like spinning around and doing contests and shit like he used to do.
Yeah.
He's a DJ. Like, all right, everybody, it's picked up for the Cool in the Gang. Get off the wall. You know, like whatever, the celebration and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We're making bank. He's probably doing CDs. He's not rocking vinyl or anything. I don't think. He used to. I have tapes of him trying to do his solo, and this is back in the day of like when you walk into a rock and roll club and you're like, yo, we have a DJ. DJ, what the hell's that? You know?
Yeah.
And I remember it was like 92 or 3 or whatever the hell it was. And they're like, I said, I need a table that he can set his, you know, turntables on, so because he needs a fucking table, you know. So they give you like a banquet table. That thing's not sturdy, you know. And when you start doing you start jumping around on stage, the fucking needles bing bang bouncing all over the record.
Yeah.
And even if he was up there doing a solo, because he had a moment to do like his thing, he did a solo with the sheep good times, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like good. You know, he would do all that shit and spin around and the whole. You know, the whole hip-hop thing. I mean, we were just coming out of the early phases of rap and hip-hop and whatever. That's kind of what we were. My thing was like, Public Enemy meets Black Sabbath and then whatever else is thrown in the middle there. That sort of a vibe. You know, that's kind of where I think I was coming from. Relevant lyrically or whatever, story-wise, and then the funky sort of rock-heavy beats, you know, steeped in rhythm, you know, and then sprinkled with porno guitar, pre-Mikey, you know, or Mike, you know, like that. Sorry, pre-Mike Tempesto. Yeah, I was just with Adam, you know, so.
When did Adam come in?
So here's a discrepancy that, well, let's just say we have different visions of how Adam got involved.
Okay.
If I knew the dude's name, that would seal the deal, but I cannot remember this guy's name. But this particular person was a friend of ours from this club called The Rat. And that's where we played all the time. It was like our CBGBs, you know, Boston CBGB. Everybody played The Rat.
Okay.
I have the tapes with it, too. It's incredible. It's fucking crazy. We had packed, like, just crazy. The best times ever in that band was, like, in that club for that phase of time, period of time. Holy shit, I'm going on a tangent again because I'm visualizing the stage. What were we just talking about?
Adam coming in.
Oh, yeah. So this dude, he was a hairdresser also. So I don't know how you knew Adam. I guess you know how you knew Adam? Because Adam was a fucking bike messenger, and Adam would deliver whatever packages to this salon. So anyway, so he's like, I know this guy Adam, and you know, you should check him out. And because we were auditioning guitar players, a lot of my friends came in that I knew from Berkeley that are really well known nowadays. Not one of them fit. They were all great, but they didn't fit. You know, it just wasn't right. You know, wasn't right. Then Adam came in all dragging his feet. You know. Looking like a muscular bike dude who was crazy. His hair was all kicked down like a afro, like a fucking homeless guy, muscular homeless guy. And he came in and just started I was like, oh shit, that sounds like Curtis Mayfield and whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm down with that. I said, look, he looks fucking crazy. Look, look at him. How offset does that, like, you know, multicultural? In fact, every band I was ever in, I think, was multicultural. You know what I mean?
Good.
Every.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like
think
that.
about it, yeah.
Was it an immediate natural fit?
From what I remember, yeah. He was real mellow, you know. That's, for me, this is what I remember and how he was with me. Because everybody has your relationships with each other.
Sure.
You know, and him and I, it was kind of funny because there were times, like him and I thought it's really close, of course, but there were times when he would, like, call me a pain in his thorn in his ass, you know, because I don't know, probably complain about stuff and be real nitpicky about everything, and he's, you know, kind of, he's specific about stuff, but, you know, he's chill. He's more chill. I think I was a little bit more, you know, crazy on the road and with the band and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's still that way. He's like Mr. Zen Master, you know, athletic trainer guy, you know, physical trainer person, I believe is what his world is.
Okay. Is that...
So he came in, and that was that, and we did the first cassette, Private Little War.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
And then, no.
And then, hurry up and buy.
How long did it take for the songs to take shape for Private Little War?
Wow. I'm trying to remember what's on there. Well, probably not too long ago. We were already playing. You know what I mean? It's like we were playing these songs.
Yeah.
We were never a cover band. We never played like the only. You probably know. You probably know better than I do. What cover songs we did? We didn't do any. I mean, we did that Bjork thing was probably. I think might have been the first song that we ever covered.
Yeah, I think that was.
I
think that was the only one up until Good Times Roll.
Cars thing, yeah. Which is interesting because Rick just passed away. And we tracked a lot of his studio, their studio, the Cars place. It was right. You walk out Tower Records and go two doors down. That's the Cars studio. It was called Synchro Sound, where they did all the records. We did shit there and various other things. But anyway, next. Sorry, I lost where we were. I warned you. I said I'd go off, man, and I'll forget where we were.
It's okay. It's okay. I think, let's see, I know Neckbone's on there, and I think...
you said how long did it take to get the songs together? Well, long story short, back in the day, what's Neckbone start with? Drums and bass. That's how a lot of the songs started. It was like me and Dorian fucking around in a room. Half these grooves we already played because we were in other bands together, blues, and we were playing all the classics. Yeah. Superfly Wednesdays was a whole funk evening of jamming and just jam banding before there was a jam band scene. And then Monday Night Jams was like a free-for-all, rock, jazz, whatever. We had fucking trumpets and people get their teeth knocked out and all kind of crazy shit we had going on. It was incredible. Japanese trumpet player gets his teeth knocked out. I'm crawling around the floor looking for his fucking front teeth. Guitar player went crazy and used his guitar as a baseball bat, and when he swung it at the microphone stand, the stand was holding a mic while the trumpet player was standing there, so it hit the bell of his trumpet and smashed the mouthpiece into his teeth.
Rock and roll.
Exactly. It was fucking hilarious. It was tragic, but it was like crazy. I couldn't find my teeth. I'm like, oh shit. It's dark. People are still playing, and I'm walking around trying to crawl around on the stage. Good times, man. Good times.
Yeah.
So anyway, Neckbone and all that. Yeah. So it just came together good, quickly, from what I remember.
And then not long after, it was True Force.
Yeah, let's see. Brian was that. Was he? Is it? You got to help me here. I should know this. Yeah, he's not on that record. Brian, he's not on that record, is he?
Not on True Force, no. I don't think.
Okay, yeah. So I guess he was in and out quick. He was in for the formative period before we even played, and then we played. Meanwhile, I'm the only person on the planet that has those shows on video. I have all these shows. I have all of those shows from day one until we got signed. Pretty much. I got a vast catalog, and because like I said, this dude would follow me around, and everything I did, he would film. I have it.
So on the DVD, is some of that footage?
Some of that is from that, but some of that is the DVD was. I left it to those guys. Dorian. Most of that footage came from me or Dorian, and then possibly Adam might have had a little bit of footage. And I don't know what Spider had because he wasn't like a. He wasn't walking around like I was with a fucking camera, filming all these things and stuff. He was like this, doing interviews and all that type of shit that you do when you're the lead singer guy, So I was filming and documenting it that way just because I wanted to remember what the hell happened, Yeah. Like right now, I don't remember, so if I forget, I just go look at it and go, oh yeah, that's right, you're right, it's true. Or I could prove myself, like evidence.
I understand. I've always been the one that documents everything and keeps everything, so... If people have a question or they want to remember something, they're like, hey, doesn't Marcus have that? I'm like, yeah, I got it. Don't worry.
If I'm not in the video, then that means I'm filming it. if I'm in the picture, then Dorian's filming it.
Okay.
Or drum tech or something like that. You know what I mean? In that DVD.
Yeah.
Which I had nothing to do with, really. I kind of have mixed reviews about that. I like the fan idea thing, but I don't like how it wound up myself, personally.
It's an interesting.
I don't dig it. It's kind of weird. I don't understand. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a weird layout, a weird format.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people thought they were making fun of people. I kind of agree. It kind of looks like that. Like you chose those. Why did you choose those ones? Like the weirdest ones. It's like what? Some of these people look like they need assistance. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to put this out there. Like the one where the girl burned down her bedroom. Yeah, that was funny. That's cool.
Yeah.
and she did the pictures and stuff, but not that. Like I can remember that one guy in there. He's probably maybe heard this or whatever. I'm sorry, dude, but it's like it's just like real weird. It's just odd. It just struck me as odd, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I didn't see any of those videos until it was on this thing. I didn't go through that shit. I don't know what those were.
Yeah.
And if I did, I don't remember. You know what I mean? I don't remember that meeting.
So if you were to ever put together a DVD, it would be a little bit more authentic and interesting.
Well, I wouldn't say that's not authentic. That's totally authentic.
Well, no. I'm just like the way that DVD was presented. It was just.
Oh yeah, I would do a different timeline, kind of like how it did with that what's on there, but it does it really quickly, like the timeline of.
Yeah, it's like at the very end, and it lasts for like only a couple minutes. It's like.
Well, I mean, between I don't know what I can't speak for any of these guys. I can just look at it and go, it looks like maybe Spider, because he's a film aficionado and that type of stuff. Looks like he was trying to make some movie or like a thing or something instead of just I don't know. Like I said, I don't really have much to say other than it kind of weirded me out a little bit. I like some of the footage in it, but just the way it was put together, and then of course after that, the fanfare that I read was not that fantastic. And like I said, I think about making fun of people. I kind of felt that's what it looked like a little bit too, and I'm like, well, that's not what I intended, but I kind of see what you're saying there. To be honest, I don't know, but
yeah.
Whack. Well, whatever. I mean, there's the kids that were in it probably like, hell yeah, fuck yeah, I'm in the thing, man. So there you go. I don't know what's good as that. It's kind of. But anyway, yeah, I would do it differently probably.
I think.
Well, again, there you go. Then you want to know why I'm not in the band, because we all have different ideas. It's hard when you have different people with all these different things, and it's got to boil down to one person, or maybe two people or whatever. And it just is like, that's cool. Can't do that anymore, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm too much single-minded. Like I want to do my own things. And here you go. I'm not even playing in the fucking band. So what's that? I don't even know what that means. I'm helping people play. So I don't know. Is it my way of giving back? I have no idea, because I'm getting paid. I don't do it for free.
Of course.
But maybe it's my way of going, okay, I did all this shit. It's all cool. I want to help these guys, because I'm not satisfied with what's going on, what I see on the surface of the music industry currently. If you dig deep, all the shit's there, all the good stuff, but you got to dig deeper than you ever did before.
Yeah, and it's true. Like I always see people, general people, comment how music sucked for 20, 30 years now. It hasn't been good since the 80s. It's like, there's good music. There's plenty of good music. You just have to look for it.
Hell yeah. Like the 80s, fuck the 80s, man. That's when Miles Davis was fucking peaking, obviously. But then again, are you listening to Miles Davis? What are you doing? What are you listening to? I mean whoever.
Yeah.
It's like there's shit there. Some of the best punk rock was in the 80s and the hardcore. We were talking about fucking Black Flag and all this shit. Dead Kennedy, Bad Brains, and this shit.
Well, it's not on the radio, so it's not good.
Well, it was on my radio because I was listening to college radio. You know what I mean? That's where I was at. This is pre-Boston stuff or whatever. 80s. I'm saying every decade had its stuff. Like people hate the 90s. I'm like, there's a fucking million records. No, the shit on the radio. That's what you're talking about. Then maybe, and then we what do you call it, the creation or whatever of new metal or rap rock or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I was in a rock band. Boom. Play rock music. I don't know. That's what it is. Rock music means everything. It's like what America used to be. All people. Not just one type.
Yeah.
It's like everything, all mixed together. That's what rock and roll is to me. It's everything. It's rock and roll. Not just whatever. It's both, you know what I mean?
Do you think Powerman flew under the radar a little bit with that sound, since you kind of predated, Limp Bizkit and all that kind of stuff?
Maybe. I think you're referencing what I think Spider said, something that we were on the cusp of that. And I believe that to be true, but I wasn't looking back. I hear what you're saying. Like, should we have gotten a little bit more of whatever? But I don't know. I guess I'm maybe not giving ourselves that much credit, but we definitely were there during that phase of, like, trying to figure out what we are. How do we market you? Like, what are you? Are you like a Beastie Boys? Or are you a Rage Against the Machine? Because those were the main, right, at that time.
Yeah.
what was going on. And Beasties were sort of like white people rapping. There wasn't Vanilla Ice and Eminem. I don't think was happening yet. You know, all that kind of stuff. And then they were punk rock dudes, but playing instruments, but not really. And but then they are. And then they have people around them that can play. And then they're rapping and they're sort of singing and they're yelling. All the things that we were just about to do. And then you have Rage Against the Machine. To me, it's a political rock band. I mean, that's basically with funk bass, you know what I mean, and funky rhythms. And I love that stuff too.
Yeah.
But the main thing of that band is a political thing. I mean, my best buddy right now plays in Tom Morello's band and as a bass player, and it's all politics. It's all what it is. They have an agenda, and they're out there doing it. And I get it. That's your thing, and that's you're using your platform to do this. But that's I don't think that's what we really were. But anyway, I think we're going off on politics here. Sorry.
Yeah, we could talk for hours about that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm screaming into the phone probably. Subject matter again.
So,
I'm doing stuff while we're actually talking to. Like I'm putting shit away, and I got lessons. I teach at my studio when I'm not at the school, which is most of the time. I also do like a select couple of students that I work with that are in bands here at my place. But that's later. I clean. Today's my day where I clean shit and do these types of things and the occasional phone. I don't do many, but occasionally. Thanks for checking in. It's all good, man. It brings me to, think about some of these things that I maybe have forgot about, or some of it's kind of fresh. Like I said, me and Dorian were hanging, and when we do, it's only like once a year, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
And, we don't dwell on the past, but it definitely is part of who we are together, you know what I mean? Like a thing.
Of course.
So, anyway. So I started thinking about these things, and then here we are, even going deeper and shit that I haven't even thought about in such a long time. But it's all good, though. It's like a person.
You said you listened to my interview with Spiders, so you should have expected a little bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all good, because I wanted to make sure I didn't necessarily repeat the same shit, because it was long and drawn out and fairly precise and whatever. Like I said, everybody has their own version of things, and that's what makes it cool, because then, whether it's true or not, who gives a shit? It's a fucking story, and no one got hurt, I don't think, physically, that is.
No.
Yeah. And or emotional, what, you know what I mean? No, everybody's fine. We're all good. Everybody's out. He's doing his thing. I'm fine. Dory's rocking. Adam's wherever, and Mikey's doing his thing, and everybody's all good.
Yeah.
So, I know.
I forgot.
That's cool. Yeah.
I bought a CD last week, and I was looking at the credits because I always like to look at that stuff, and I forgot who it was, but in the like endorsements and stuff, it thanked Mike Tempesta, and I was like, huh, cool.
Well, he's A&R. He's West Coast A&R for Fender, Jackson, Charvel, and EVH. So it was probably one of his bands because he has a lot of them. And Mikey's ex-drum tech from Anthrax. He was Scotty and drum tech before Powerman.
Okay.
When he was a little kid, and the same thing with his brother.
Yeah.
They come from that thing. So Mikey's been in that industry for a while, and then obviously plays in bands too, but he does this 24/7.
Cool.
I just talked to him not long ago on like why my fingers, not voices, but because I was looking for one of the guitars that I have is his model, the one that they made for the band and whatever. It's the M33 model, whatever you want to call it. Sort of discontinued at this point, but it's old now, and I use it a lot. So the fucking pickup chassis around it was cracking. So I tried to find, a replacement for it. And the one that I did find doesn't fit. And then I talked to my dudes at Schecter, and they're like, yeah, right, dude, that fucking shit's gone, man. We didn't even find that anywhere. So I hit Mikey. I was like, yo, you got any parts for this? He said, yeah, just try Schecter. I already did that and nothing. So that was that, and I just fixed it myself. Like, whatever. Anyway. But all good. And like I said, everybody's working, and that's what it's all about, I guess. And that's all I know on that front. As I make coffee.
So with True Force, that was recorded in about a week, right?
It was short, like I said, because we were rehearsed, I mean, I was a music student, so was Dorian, whatever, and all we did was play and practice, so, I mean, we were ready to roll. In fact, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Go play the shit live, and then get it fucking rolling, and then really live in. That's the way I work best. I'm not like Josh Priest, where you can go in and look at a chart, and 5 minutes later, bang out 1 or 2 takes, and that's the master take of everything, and it's killing, and it completely feels like you've been playing it for fucking years,
Yeah.
There's not a lot of dudes that can do that, you know. And so I'm of the one where I have to repeat, you know, do it, keep doing it repetitively until I, you know, exhaust all of everything I want to get out of it, and then it feels good. It feels lived in. It feels like a home. In other words, what I always say. And then, yeah, so pretty short. And it was a short record too. I mean, some of the stuff was chopped together. I think Adam re-engineered some stuff on there, like those little in-between breaks and whatever. We were just trying to make anything. We didn't have many songs.
Yeah.
All the little eye in and eye out and all that shit. Those are just like, okay, we need to add some time on this thing. We even got shit for the Doomsday record. That's too short. It's 27 minutes. What?
Yeah, it's
$17.99. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm not timing the songs.
it's pretty quick.
I'm not doing the sequence. I'm whatever, man. It's a record. Some of my favorite records are like 20 minutes long. It doesn't matter. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
I don't know. A bunch of songs on it, and I don't know. Once again, that's a whole other thing. I don't know what the hell happened with that. He shed light on all kind of weird things. I'm like, I don't know, man. I wasn't in touch with the management. They didn't give a shit about me as far as I was concerned.
Oh,
He as an individual.
on Doomsday?
On anything.
Yeah.
Just period. Just me as a person. You know. Who am I? I don't know. Just a band guy. A guy in a band. Nobody important. You know.
So when you did Bloodsplat, you were still just a local band in Boston, right?
That was the first full length, yeah.
Okay.
Spider tell you the story how that happened or whatever?
What's that?
Did Spider tell you the story of how that occurred? Like how that record came to be?
I don't think we went into too much detail about that.
Well, going backwards real quickly for that True Force thing, that's what led us to our first network television debut was on 90210 during that period with Strike the Match.
Okay, yeah.
That garnered some shit there, so we had some, you know, some interest going. There was always interest because certain people knew that, you know, blah, 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 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we kept that as it wasn't a thing because we wanted to be a fucking band. We didn't want to go, oh, these guys are Rob Zombie's, whatever, minions or puppets or whatever you want to call it. It's like, nah, man, no. Rob's busy doing his own thing, trying to get it together. You know how long it took White Zombie to get even recognized?
Absolutely, yeah.
They did tons of records before that record came out on Geffen, you know. And that stuff, like, well, we'll just leave it at that anyway. All great stuff, dude. All good guys and girls, as far as I remember. And as far as I know, the only person I'm in touch with out of that is Tempesta, Johnny. That's it. I see him every so often, because we're in the drum family as well. So there we go. I lost the subject again. What was it?
Bloodsplat.
Oh yeah. So we're working at Tower Records, and this dude Eno that worked there. I don't know. I guess he got the money somehow. He gave us X to do the record, and then that record. Well, eventually, long story short, was sold to DreamWorks for X, and then we gave him money, and then we had the remainder to do whatever we needed to do, put it back into the band. I think we got a band van, Cozy Craft, 1967 or 70 van, crazy. The van that me, Spider, his girl, ex-girl, and my ex-girl drove across the United States together with no air conditioning in August.
Great.
I almost killed everybody. I got out of the Cracker Barrel. I was like, fuck you, everybody. I'm getting on a plane. Fucking out of here. My girlfriend, everybody. Oh, it was crazy. It was hot. We were driving. We were tired, you know. But the van's full of everything.
Yeah.
It was just nuts, you know. I think we even went to go chase UFOs at one point. Spider's driving. You might remember this if you ever talked to him. Say, hey, did you ever pull off the side of the road like shit into a cornfield and chase like a fucking UFO? Yeah. He's like, holy shit, man. We're like, what the fuck? He made it through. We went into this corn area or whatever. Like, there was a light we were following. We thought it was a UFO. We were in Arizona because we went to the crater.
Okay,
you know, the crater here. So that was one of the highlights of that trip, going to that crater. Of course, I live right down the street from it, and I don't even go there. I've never been I don't even go there. I live in Arizona, in case you didn't know.
I did.
You did, or do you know?
I did.
Okay, cool. Now the world knows, whoever listens to your thing.
Al lives in Arizona.
The world listens to it, right? You have 8 billion listeners. Mostly.
How was the transition from Boston to LA?
Well, the transition basically was like, drive all your shit over here, and then immediately I think we started to go on tour, started doing shows. We were doing shows around town. I mean, we had to, well, long story short, after the deal was in place or whatever, then some of us that worked at the rehearsal space, like literally we went there and worked on stuff. Spider didn't, he could write lyrics at home. He didn't necessarily need to be in the room with us. We could be jamming there, me and Dorian and whoever, and working out stuff, and then, then we'd rehearse. But we were at the rehearsal spot constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, what else is there to do? That was my job, so that was it. I didn't, and I was ready to work at Staples. I didn't have a job or any money or anything. We were going to L.A. We didn't even have a deal yet. We were just going there, and I was literally going to go work at a Staples. I was going to manage. I was going to transfer because that's what I was doing.
Okay.
Day gig was working at Staples, and then doing the copy stuff because that's how I made all the flyers. See, I was that guy. Spider would draw them, and I'd put all the shit together and paste it up, and then make the stickers and all that shit illegally or whatever. We were taking all the paper and just all this shit, But they were all fans, the people at the store. My manager was like, "Fuck yeah, man, this is great. You guys are killing. Got Al working here at the copy center, like a rock and roll guy. Look at this,
Yeah.
Some crazy. They were all into it, so that's what I was going to do, transfer over. And then, long story short, the deal was in place. We did it, and that was that. And then no one needed a job. Now all we needed to do, we all lived together, too. It was like 13 of us in one place at this time.
Yeah.
That's how many there were. And then then once the deal went down, we all got cars. Well, not all of us, but some of us. Me, I got a car, I got a place to live, and then, boom, go on tour. Jump all my shit in the place and then go on tour. So
Welcome home.
We were doing shows and whatever around town just to get warmed up, but then we started touring. Korn, I think was the first one. No, we were still in Boston at that time. I can't remember what the first run was, but some of the early ones were Slayer and Korn.
That's a interesting lineup.
Whatever the other one was.
So things obviously perked up a little bit during the Mega Kung Fu Radio tour.
Well, the Blood Splat thing, became Mega. We just repackaged it, put it in color.
Yeah.
And we also, added a couple extra tracks. That was like sort of making an independent album. Because think about this. The Blood Splat artwork and all?
Yeah, I own a copy of it.
And black. Yeah, it's black, white, and red. That's all we could afford. One color, because black is not a color. Like when you get printing.
Yeah.
So we had one color, and that color was red. So that's how that was, and that's why. But it was like an independent sort of looking thing. You know what I mean? It didn't look like this massively major label. In fact, you look at fucking convicts. We're all bald. I'm like look like a Unabomber. You know what I mean? That whole deal. It's like, we're taking pictures. Goddamn cold. We're all our winter clothes and shit. You know what I mean? It's like that's what that was. So all of a sudden it goes from like that look to the cover of this one, which I have a massive poster I'm looking at right now with the whole hip gear. Like we're all rocking like well, let's see who is. Dorian's rocking broken Oakleys, and Adam's got Oakleys on, and me and Jordan, Slayer's got Oakleys on too, because they brought us a box of them. They're like, yo, you want to check these out, man? Wear these on your shoe, and then you could just keep them, all this Oakley shit. And we're like, yeah, okay, cool. And then a friend of mine had a company called Pimp Gear in Boston, so that's what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a Pimp Gear hat, because I used to rock all his shit, like kind of being like his little model guy.
Yeah.
So I did it on there, and that looks like the summer look. It's all like colorful. And back when we didn't know what we were doing, like everybody's dressed like all differently. Dorian's like a Chicano gangster with the flannel, with the open shirt with one button at the top, and Jordan's like muscular tube hat, and Adam, I don't know what he's doing, inspired. You know what I mean? Like everybody looks all crazy. I look like a confused baseball player. It's like a really weird shot there. But anyway, yeah, things started happening. After that, we really started hitting the road. That's basically what happened. Getting offers for tours that, worked for us, odd stuff, etc.
Yeah.
A lot of packages. That's what helped, man. Nothing like playing even when we did the first, Ozfest, the whole lawn, we went on at 11 a.m. or noon or whatever. Let's just say noon. I'm waking up at 10 or 10:30. I get catering, grab a shower, because I'm like that weird guy who takes a shower before and after a show if I can.
Yeah. Kind
of wake up and then wait, whatever, on the way down after the show. Because I'm sweating. I'm one of those guys that sweats when we play. Fucking hot. Especially wearing leather that doesn't breathe and all that shit, Fucking boots and whatnot,
Yeah.
So, we would play to the lawn. The lawn was the lawn way up there. It's packed. They're going crazy. And then, 10,000 empty blue seats down in front. It's like nobody there yet that paid to see Sabbath or whatever it was at that time. But yeah, you get those people. Hey, if you can get out of 30,000 people, if I can grab 1,000 of them, hey, that's 1,000 people.
Yeah.
But that's a bad ratio. If I can get half of them, That's the mission. You ain't getting paid a lot for these shows. You're getting paid to be seen. You're paying this to being seen, and hopefully sell some T-shirts, or we probably did because we were a very merch friendly band,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But so lots of touring. And we toured a lot on that record. It didn't sell a ton, but it set up the next record, I believe, is what happened. I mean, the shit was good too. I think it was just too no metronomes involved, and it was kind of on a funky level. And I don't know if that was if people were digging it at that time. People I know and I respect musically love that record. Fucking hate everything else. They're like, holy shit, man, that other stuff is like the crazy liquefied like improv, and that's what it was. It was just like this improv-y. And I think Spider might like a little more structure. Not that there was a structure within that, but it was loose. There was crazy dynamic, lots of things, and not so, forceful in terms of, like the World's Cloud and all those things, but like pounding it into your head, And that's what those were, though. They were like anthem type, fist pumping, large audience, screaming along, the whole deal. It's like Bombshell. That's my only regret of that record, man. I wish I'd never played any of those songs live, me personally.
Yeah.
No, that was the whole point of that record. To play those live, not in the studio. They're not really studio songs. They were kind of put together, a lot of them. You know what I mean? Like, not the way I like to do things. Once again, I had a ton to do with that as far as I played on it. But some of it, I don't remember. Me and Ulrich by myself, just me and my girlfriend going in, like, tracking, bringing my Ludwigs out in the trunk of my car and just throwing them together and just not even fucking tuning them and just playing. Not tuning them, of course, but, not going crazy as, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. But here I am all by myself, just trying to whack out some beats here, and no one's around. It's kind of weird, but whatever. Gotta do what you gotta do. So, like I said, it wasn't a band. It's like a puzzle. It shows up whenever and do things. And it wasn't all the time, but, at least that one particular time.
Bombshell is still the only song that they've played from it. It's kind of unfortunate.
Sure. Well, that was a thing even before the record was out, apparently. It was released to radio, and it was already getting play, and then the whole 9/11 thing happened, and I don't know what happened. There might have been other inner workings that I'm unaware of in the managerial thing. Spider had those guys that were more in touch with that than I was. Not that I wasn't willing. It's just after a while I was like, yeah, okay, man. I don't know. I trust you just take care of business. It's it. I'll take care of my musical stuff and be the best that I could be. And if you got your finger on the business thing, then roll with it, man. Then it's all good. Take care of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't mess it up. Too many cooks spoil the whole thing. So it's already bad enough we got everybody individuals in the band that want to do things. So that's why I kind of stepped aside a little bit. I think this is what I'm saying now. I think that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, business and corporate stuff can always sour on the music a little bit.
None of us were lawyers or accountants, so we were just musicians, and that's enough right there. I mean, we're humans, human beings, and then just we were expressing ourselves via, these instruments, and that's basically it. At least that's what I was doing. I don't know how everybody else thinks about it, but yeah, lots of touring. I mean, that's what it is. Like I tell Ernie, keep writing and keep playing. Everything I'm not doing now.
Yeah, so
playing, I mean, live. If you're in a band, play. Don't play 5 nights a week on your, tour your neighborhood. You play, around places. Move around if you can, a little bit, just to play or practice or something. Be the best you can. I think Spider said that too. It's one of the best things he ever said. We wanted to be the best that we could as a band because so much bullshit out there already. It's like we want to be the best that we feel that we are before we start signing deals and making records and putting shit out there. Because once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's out there forever. Mm-hmm. Especially in the world we live in now. It's in the flipping cloud or whatever. It's somewhere.
Yeah.
It's there. And then there's shit that's there that I've never seen yet. That I was there, but I didn't see it. Like those pictures that I sent you. I was there. Obviously, I'm in the picture, but I never saw those.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that shit that I'm coming to find now. Can you imagine if the internet was happening when we were a band?
Yeah.
Shit, there'd be so much stuff because I'd be filming it like nuts because I'm a weirdo like that.
Yeah, imagine Instagram, in 1998.
You know what I mean? It would be crazy. Yeah, but maybe it's better that it wasn't. It kept it more organic.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like a ghost in the machine kind of a deal. You know, just the whole. Yeah, nothing tangible. It's like I can't touch it, download. It's like what the fuck is that? You know?
I know.
So.
I have a huge music library, but I still buy everything physically too. So.
If you can afford to, and it means something to you, then it's all good. Because you know, when I look around and see records, I go, Jesus Christ, I fucking pile, you know, and it takes up a lot of space.
It does.
You know, I pay more for storage than I do for rent where I live. You know what I mean? It's like insanity.
Yeah.
My gear gets a better ride than I do. You know.
It's true.
And it's just sitting there, you know, but I can't get rid of it. Some of it's like too special to me, you know. So.
I get it.
Yeah. You know.
I totally get it. So when you were writing for Tonight the Stars Revolt, were you writing on the road, or was that just?
Well, maybe somewhere, but no, we didn't have the typical back lounge studio thing. I thought about that a lot. In fact, a lot of dudes that I knew that we were out with, like when I would always hang out with Edsel Dope, you know.
Yeah.
Which is funny because his dude, that guy, well, this dude, actually, I know him. He's a nice guy, Adrian, you know.
Yeah.
Or 27 or whatever. What do you call himself? 87, whatever. Adrian, you know what I'm talking about. First guy, the guy that I kept warmed up the seat for. That guy.
Yep.
Which is funny because he was like, you remember me? Like, you were so nice. You were in the parking lot and you signed all my shit one day when I came to a show, and he was like a little fan guy, you know, whatever. I'm like, yeah, maybe I remember. But I always did that, though. I always like to talk to people to find out what you're into and how you're doing and what's up. And thanks for coming, and the whole deal, you know. Without getting killed nowadays, I'd be like, I don't know if I'll be out there. Like get fucking stabbed or something. I don't know. Like you said, the world needs something going down. I don't know what.
Yeah.
So it's a different environment out there. I used to ride around, like ride my bike out and wherever with everybody, you know, 30,000 people. What's up, man? Yo! Like, holy shit, there's that guy. What's he doing? I just like to go around, you know, be around and be a part of it. Anyway, what was back to the subject again about the, what'd you say?
The writing.
The writing. So not on the road is not for me. I remember working on, me and a friend of mine, the original riffs for, I can see it right now, I'm sitting on his fucking, he had a bunk bed. He's sitting on his bottom bunk bed, and he's with his little Nuendo or whatever, Cubase or whatever we were writing, just basic tracks.
Yeah.
And I'm playing the guitar and whatever, and that was the beginning of what would eventually be Supernova. And that's the only thing I really remember about that particular thing. And then outside of that, probably writing was done within, you know, I know Spider and Mikey went off and did things, and Spider and Adam. Dorian was kind of on his own, I think, a little bit, and so was I. The band was starting to go in different little things, you know what I mean? Like little pockets or the side things. And if you want to write, you're going to do it whenever and try to present it. So that's out of desperation maybe, or wanting to be included in some of the actual, you know, creating a new thing instead of like the other way that we do it. We sit in a room and we just jam, and it's a collective thing, and somebody might have the initial riff and all that. So yeah, I just remember sitting there doing that, and then of course it morphed into what it is now, what everybody knows. And my whole idea was to have it worked out perfectly. You must have good intuition, or maybe I said it, I don't know, but to open the album and also open a show with that. You know what I mean? I imagined the lights and everything, just the whole deal. One light on the guitar, you know what I mean? And it drums just popping in, repetitive, fist banging, audience participation type song, you know, with a four on the floor kick going, just banging it out, just the whole deal.
So
it seemed to be the theme that was going on, and that, you know, for me, and also because it wasn't happening in other records. I'm listening to these other bands that we're out with, and they were all very metal-y as far as I was concerned, you know.
Yeah.
And everybody was more metal than we were, I thought. We were the only people ripping wah-wahs out. Like Adam's out there, and he's the only black dude, too. Not to whatever, but you know what I mean? He's the only black dude out there, so it's wacky, you know? It's like, I don't know what it was, because I didn't think we fit. We fit, but we were that little, I don't know what you call it.
Like an exception?
That little other thing that's there. It's like, what's that? I mean, these guys they're heavy, but they're kind of funny looking with the shit or whatever, the suit, but they're jumping around. You're like, what is all that stuff? Like, what do you file under? And then Spider's like, file it under action rock, and he tried to coin that term.
Yeah.
Did I mention that to you? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
That's what that song, File Under Action. Got two versions. In fact, that's an old song. If the crowd was fucked up, we light it up with the fast version. Same thing with Car Crash. And even there's a bunch of songs where we did fast and slow, depending on the evening. Like, there's a slow Car Crash. There's a slow Car Crash. Yeah, there's slow Car Crash. You know that one? It's somewhere.
I've never heard of Slow Car Crash.
It's not called Car Crash though, but it's just what's the take a fly off the windowsill? It's like what the hell that song is? It's on Mega. I don't know. Well, I don't remember. Wait, yeah. Oh no, you know what? It's not. It's on. It's on that Good Bad Ugly stuff, or maybe the version I'm talking. Because remember, everything isn't out there.
Yeah.
You got some of that stuff from me because I have all the masters of all that shit.
Okay.
I have all the data from those sessions. Well, I don't know if anybody knows that, but they do now. Or at least some of them I have like that. And File Under Action was one of them we did with a friend of mine named Bill. Oh my God, Bill. Oh, shit. I know him by so many other weird names that I can't remember his actual name. Doesn't matter. His name's Bill. He's a great dude. One of the first guys I met in Boston. And then he's an engineer guy. Really a credible musician and all this other. He makes various other wacky instruments, and dog skull guitars and tennis racket basses and whatever. Yeah, all kind of crazy shit.
So the sound change from the old sound to the new sound, was that a collective?
Bridging technology. You know, we started adding the sample stuff was the first thing to sort of bring in electronics, right? Because we never really had a keyboard necessarily. So yeah, to incorporate. Remember, Jordan's gone. Wait, now where are we at? What phase you at? Because Jordan was, obviously killing. I love it. See, that was the other thing. The team between him and I. Even though we were two drummers, and he was, drummers are percussionists, but he was not a. He was an amazing drummer, but he wasn't a percussionist. But he filled that role. In fact, the role that he did is the role that I did when I was in a band with his brother. See, I know. I was in a band with Jordan's brother. See, I know Jordan's little Jordy. See, Jordan's a different story. But back then, Jordan's obviously a grown man and whatever. He's amazing. Yeah. Solid 30G is what I call him. Anyway, he was real quiet back then, but not really. Kick your ass with his forearm. But anyway, what was I saying now? Well, that was a good one too. Holy shit, Jordan. Oh yeah, so just him and I playing together was a thing that I always loved to do. I always loved to play with either two drummers or drums and percussion. Oh, I know what I was saying. I was in a band with his brother. I was the vocalist, and I also played weird percussion. It was an 8-piece, there's an octet of like a sort of a avant-garde, very jazz-influenced, improvisational troupe. And Jordan's brother he would read poetry. He would read poetry and recite prose while we would play, you know what I mean? And we would respond or react to his, whatever he's talking about, musically. Yeah. And we also had songs, too. Some songs would last, 45 minutes because you might start to, do the head once and then, boom, you're 7 people are taking solos for 15 minutes apiece, you know what I mean? And then these are some of the top dudes that were at Berkeley at that time, and they were all jazz dudes as far as I was concerned. Yeah. They had that mentality where I was sort of just learning and felt I was glad to be accepted, but I always felt very, under musician. I was, on a bit lower level than them, which was great because I always love to play with people that are better than me because it forces me to step up my game, if I can. Yeah. Or if I need to. No offense to people that are just starting out, but that's it's hard to do that when you're trying to exhaust certain things, and then this person's just not on that level yet, and that's okay. You're going to get there, but it's like you can't. So it's restricting, a little bit. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's good, but like me on the bass, I'm not a virtuoso by any stretch of the imagination. I'm very minimalistic, but that's why, for instance, Paul McCartney's a great drummer because he's very minimalistic about it. He doesn't play. He's not really, he's a bass guy. Yeah. But when he plays drums, he just kicks the beat. It's all about that time and that tempo and that feel, and it's got a great feel and the ideas, but it doesn't have to be flashy and stick spinning and all these, what everybody does for lack of, either they want to do it, which is fine. Yeah. But a lot of these dudes I see, when I see that happen, see, I'm on a crazy stick twirling tangent now. When I see that, I forget about the music, and I'm like, God, that guy's a fucking amazing juggler. You know, like shit, man, wow. The chainsaw's in your hand, and I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, while you're playing, of course. Because I know some of the best twirlers out there. Glenn Sobel, I mean, he's fucking ripping. And that's what I always want to ask them, and I never did. When you track a record, are you spinning sticks when you're in there? Because they're doing it constantly, and this is not a bad thing. It's just someone's thing. I don't necessarily mean him. I mean anybody that does it. They're doing it all the time. It's part of their thing. Do you do that when no one's watching? You know, like when you're making a record, like what? And then if you don't, what are you doing? When you're not spinning a stick, like how are you? Like what is that?
Well, I mean, obviously they had to have some kind of practice, so you would hope that they're doing it when no one's around.
Well,
Otherwise,
sure you can turn it on and turn it off, but I'm just wondering. I never asked the question. Do you stick twirl? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say they do subconsciously.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes a better visual to envision someone in the studio with headphones on and just being an amazing artist. Like,
yeah, just play. No trickery. No, you don't need to bust out the roller coaster, Tommy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Okay,
while you're recording.
Yeah, exactly. I need to be like on an 85-degree angle here, you know, upside down, like, you know.
All right. So when this part comes up, hit the flames.
Yes.
Yeah.
Move out of the way,
Pyro.
everybody, please. Yeah. Move out of the way, please. I'm just making my coffee here.
It's all good. That was actually something I asked Dorian about his dynamic with you playing drums.
Say it again?
I asked Jordan about his dynamic playing drums with you.
Oh, yeah.
And
You said it was horrible, terrible, worst ever.
it was, worst thing ever. He couldn't wait to leave. No, I'm kidding.
I bet you he didn't tell you about the three-arm dark room jam. I bet you never told you about that.
No.
3-arm dark room jam. Okay, Jordan at one time broke his arm. So me and his brother. This is when I was in his brother's. Well, his brother was whatever. I was in this thing with his brother. We were all at Berkeley, and we were rehearsing or doing whatever. But we used to rehearse a lot in a dark room, so we didn't have to look at each other, and you could just feel and play. Period. Don't need to see your instrument. Your instrument is you.
Yeah.
Just fucking play. You don't need to look at the guy. When you look at somebody, that's a whole different thing. You start getting ideas and other things. And like, this is like dark room jam. So anyway, it was me, 2 drum sets, me, Jordan. So he had one arm, so he's jamming one-arm drums. But when the lights are off, you know what I mean? You don't think about he's got one arm, but it was just crazy so that's the 3-arm dark room jam. And he would remember it if I told him, but there's no documentation of it other than in my mind. But I really like playing with him because he's a great drummer, first of all. And then, like I said, he did all these other things that I was doing in the other band. In fact, everything he had there was my shit, except the rack, I think, and the conga. But in fact, that little ding, thing that he used for the pseudo triangle part in
Strike the Match.
Strike the Match. Yeah, Strike the Match. That thing.
Yep.
I use that every day. That's my old bottom of a 10-inch rototom. But I use it every day. It's cool. I use it like just and I spin it like a vibrato thing. But I have the same rig. Because that's the rig I use with his brother. That same thing. That table with a fucking. Basically, I was a stand-up drummer without a kick drum. And that's what he was doing. Only he incorporated the conga, which is cool because that added a whole other world music to our thing. There you go. We had a black guy and a conga drum on stuff. Ain't nobody had that shit. Ain't no Sepultura yet. You know what I mean? Not with us. We were like fucking. Next thing we needed was a DJ, and we'd be all set.
Yeah.
Remember, Korn later had DJ. The people incorporated DJs and like the biscuit and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We already did. It ended, and we were like, okay, whatever. We came and went with that before we even got a deal.
Yeah.
With the DJs and all that shit. We're like, okay, moving on. That was fine, and that's all good, but that's obviously not our thing. So let's move forward to the progression, you know, and then that's the lineup there with Jordan. I talk to him on a regular by our fingers and on the line here, you know.
I've seen him a couple times at shows here because he's here in Vegas, and
I've never seen the Blue Man with him though. You know what I mean? Just
I
never
haven't
have.
either.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to see the Blue Man Group. All these years I've been living here, I've never seen them.
Well, yeah, I mean, even in LA, like when we lived there, all the places that you would think everybody goes, like Hollywood Bowl, I could walk there from my house. I never went there, never even been there. Like all these legendary places, I could live there and didn't go. So I hear you.
It's
I
just
feel you, man.
it's just part of it, you know. I mean, I think I went to let's see, I went to my first Vegas show. I think was La Rev at the Wynn, which is a Cirque du Soleil show. That was in 2015, 2014.
All right.
And then I saw the Beatles Love. That was awesome. I would totally tell you to check that out.
Oh yeah, no, I'm totally aware. Of course, you know, we remember Beatles. This is the second reference of Beatles in this conversation. So yes, of course, I'm very aware of the Giles Martin situation and that whole deal. Love it. Of course, it's amazing. Never saw it live, but I'm aware of the music and the video, the actual DVD and whatnot. Watch, but yeah, killer. Good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the songwriting and the sound change. So that was that something that was kind of collective. Like we want to move forward with this.
You mean with the different player change? Because when you add another player, once again, it's new blood, so it's going to go into a different area. Let's say Jordan's gone, right?
Yeah.
So now we lost that element of percussion and that other thing. Plus, he used to who really do the Sin Dog. He was Jordan Dog. You know what I mean? Like the Cypress Hill. Because I play with Cypress. You know that, right? I work with Cypress Hill and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jordan left, Mike came in, and then things got a little heavier.
Well, Mikey come in. He's crunch guy. So that's I would say Scott Ian joined the band because that was his Mikey's thing. You know, Mikey was very crunchy rhythm and solid as a rock. And plus, he also in the level of height, it worked out. Him and Adam, they matched. You know what I mean? They were like a little team, literally a little team. It's all good. They held it down up front, like dynamite in small packages. You know, that sort of a deal. Fuck, kick your ass. You know, you got the wacka guy over here, stage right, and then fucking chunka guy over on the other side. You put that together, you got wacka chunka. You know, it's good. It's almost two bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it could be. This is the way I looked at it. And once again, other people say, that's bullshit. But that's the way I felt about it. So yeah, it got heavy, obviously heavier. Fuck yeah, down tuning, D, drop D, the whole deal. That stuff. Well, commercially too. I mean, remember, you got a label here now. There's like secret voices in your ear.
Yeah.
You know, it's a standard thing. It's all that kind of stuff. You know, those words weren't said to my face, but you know that obviously they're going to give you money. They want the fucking music and business. They're on the business end of it.
Yeah.
Although they did let us develop, you know what I mean? Because the crew was like Mo Austin, Lenny Walker, and his Michael Austin, and of course Ron Handler, our A&R guy, the dude that sort of you can't say discovered or started that ball rolling in New York during that blood splat thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's business, and they want to make money and all that shit. So I'm hiccuping, choking on my drink here. So that was that, and so they let us do pretty much. I mean, we had control. It's not like we were puppets by any stretch of the imagination. From what I remember, it seemed like we were pretty loose. No one necessarily told me what I need to do other than you need to be here for this show and whatever, but not like, you must play this kick drum like this, or something.
Yeah.
We kind of just did what we did.
Or someone handing you a hit song for you to play.
Who did that?
No, I'm saying like no one did that for you guys. Yeah.
When did that? I was like, when did that happen? Where's that fucking check at?
Here is When Worlds Collide. You will play this. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that song, and I believe this to be correct, and if it's not, I apologize to Mike and that. I think that song was already written before he got there. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta remember, he didn't come in, and that record was already starting to be written.
Yeah.
Mikey came in, I don't know what phase, but it wasn't at the exact beginning, I do not believe.
Okay.
Like I said, if I'm wrong, sorry, Mike, confess it. But I believe that, and that was a Dorian, I think. I believe that was a Dorian riff, you know. It's a fucking tritone. I mean, every song we have is a tritone. If you know anything about music, then you know what that is. And that's everything. I mean, that's, if you think about it. Now, I don't know if Spider knows what that means, but do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
That riff, the tritone. Okay, so, you know, and the tritone, of course, historically, musically, is, you know, that's the devil in music. That's illegal. It's bad. It was evil back in the century that was. I mean, the kids, that's how you like, yo, that's it. Just 3 whole steps, man. Boom. Diminished fifth, augmented fourth, however you want to look at it. Fucking tritone, yo. Get it straight. How about, let's see. There it is. Boom. Tritone. Again. Supernova. It's everywhere. Every song we ever had to be successful, it's the devil. Helped us. That's why the devil rules, man. I'm like, woo! Thanks. I got guitars all over the place.
Did you... Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, that was a little Turkish Doombek solo for you. Or for whoever's listening. Nobody. Somebody.
Playing percussion in the background?
Yeah, rocket. My kalimba. We're going to Africa, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man. All good.
When you were recording, did you kind of have a feeling that things were going to blow up a little bit at all? Or were you just...
I don't think I ever thought of it that way. I'm just like, man, I like this shit. You know, I mean, obviously, I'm playing it, so I got to like it. That's the last thing you want to hear from a band guy. So how's it going? Fucking sucks, man. It's like, what? This is your new shit. Don't you love it? Like, if I'm a label guy.
Yeah.
First question is, do you love your band? I want to hear, hell yeah. Because if you don't, then who the hell else is going to like it? You better be living and dying for this shit. So I was into it. I wasn't worried about, are we selling records? I didn't think about that. I just thought, this is fucking fun, and this is going to be jamming, man. And we got work. It's one thing to write a great thing, but if you got nowhere to play it, what good is that? I was happy we were getting offers to play shows. However, I don't care if it's paid or what. I don't care. I'm there to work. And I need work. And my agent or whoever is going to find that work. But if no one calls, no one says, like, hey, well, you know, your management obviously has connections with stuff, so that's probably how Oz stuff, because, you know, our dude was connected with Sharon and, you know, that whole thing. And whatever. It's all that stuff. I believe a lot of things, the talent, yeah, that stuff was the smallest portion. I think of it like the right place, right time, the stars are aligning, you know, that whole deal.
Yeah.
It's everything, you know, everybody looked correct, you know, they're just all, the planets were aligned or something was happening at that point, and that's something that's unexplainable. I can't explain it. That's just the way I'm trying to explain it. But,
yeah.
But I didn't think about that. I just felt, yeah, it's going to be fucking fun, man, playing this shit. Boom, you know, it's going to be good. That's what we were there for, to kick ass. I mean, that's all I was there for. Like that movie, I come here for 2 things, kick ass and drink beer. Looks like we're out beer. But minus the beer, I'm here to kick ass and play fucking music, man. Let's go. I got nothing else to do. That's it. I'm giving you everything I got, as much as I possibly can. Been waiting all my life to kick your ass musically, so here it is. If you don't like it, it's already kicking my ass, so I don't know. I guess you missed the boat yet or something, but you'll catch on maybe later. And that's one thing to you. Thanks for, like, paying attention, like, caring or whatever. If it did something for you, that was the mission for me. You know, if you dig it, cool. I don't know. If it made you smile or whatever. If it made you do anything, if it made you feel, that's it. I can't ask, you know.
Absolutely and totally.
You know, for more than that. Money comes and goes. Fuck that.
It's your legacy.
Yeah, man, just feel it. If you're feeling it, that's it. It's art. It's whatever you, like, what's that song about? I don't know. It's not about this to me. What's it about to you, you know? I could tell you what the thought was, like, yeah, strike the match is about, you know, whatever, but you make up your own mind. You know, that's there for you to decipher. It's not like necessarily a story that is not manipulatable or like relatable to you personally, you know. And changing, whatever. It's music. It should be fun. It shouldn't be complicated, not crazy.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Did you have a personal favorite? Not from tonight, but just like the whole
song?
Yeah, just everything that you had done up to that point. Did you ever have a favorite Powerman song?
You mean like? Well, 'cause there's a lot of ways I can look at that.
Okay. I'll ask two different ones.
Yeah.
Your favorite one to play, and then just your favorite one in general.
Favorite produced track, like a track that really came out way I like. Well, I like playing them all live. You know, I mean, weirdly enough, I really like because it's a little funkier and it's syncopated. The song "Tonight the Stars Revolt." Now you know, because like that whole thing. That's a James Brown beat, only in a rock. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Only it's disguised as that song and fucking pounding quarter. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't even use a ride in that band. I don't know if you ever knew that. I never used a ride. Everything was a crash. No matter what. I never. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. In the middle, because it was Tommy Lee's ride, because I used his drums to play Will Squad at this dude's house where we were attracted. I think I was by myself then, too. Me, him, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a ride part in the breakdown of that, where the keyboards come in. That's the only time I ever played an actual ride cymbal. Everything else is smashing the crash. It's like constantly. Big ones, too. Big 19. That was my crashes, but... So anyway, I like playing them all live. I really liked it more. Let's put it this way. I liked it more when we weren't using a click 24/7. Like the show was completely sequenced. I liked it better when it was a little looser because I like to hear.
Yeah.
Fucking when I put the ear things in, man, I'm hearing and tracks and all this shit, this electronic, non-organic bullshit. You know, it's like it works within the thing, but that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
No one else is hearing. The audience is. The band, we don't have it coming through the monitors. If you hear it, you're hearing it from the house. You don't need to hear it. You're not worried about that. I hear it because I'm triggering it. But
yeah,
I like dynamics. You know, like when I went to see Peter Frampton with Dorian or whatever, that whole thing. I mean, they're breaking it down to where it's like fucking pins are dropping and like crickets. You know, it's so. I love that. And then just boom, you know, bring it to this frenzy of like just blood curdling. As loud as you can possibly be, you know, just that whole thing too. Just the dynamic range is fast, you know. And you don't really do that when you're with tracks because it's all fucking forte, bam, 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 just bashing the whole time around, you know. Yeah. Everything was bashing, and that's, I think we succumbed to that because that's who we were playing with, you know. Ozfest, In Order to Survive, and Metallica, and Kisses, and all this shit. It's like, trying to survive. We're out there. You know, it's like, what is that? How's that work with any of this other stuff? It did, but it's just so contrary to, you know, elements of us, but still different than, you know. Well, I don't know where we're going with that, but there's that. And then there's that.
And then there's that. So we'll skim over a little bit. So post Powerman.
Hey man, this is like we're rolling on this thing, and it could go. This subject right here could continue on for hours.
Oh yeah, of course.
With the big stuff, and I don't know if you want to go that far, and I can't go for hours. I can, but not today. You know what I mean? Like in general.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, let's move into it wherever you want to go.
We'll just kind of do some highlights.
Okay.
Have you done any albums like since?
Well, you got to remember how long Stint has been.
Yeah.
19 years. So, well, actually, 8, whatever. Let's just round it off at 2000. That's not the case, but late 2001, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been 19 years. Yeah, within that time, I didn't do a ton, but the ones that I did work on were pretty cool favorite things of mine. Plus, I was in bands. I was in signed bands, and you never heard of them because the record never came out. In fact, one of the signed bands, the dude who produced the record was Rick Ocasek and Danny Lohner from Nine Inch Nails.
Okay.
But that record never came out, and that band never came out. They only did it. In fact, I was in a live band. Josh Freese played drums. It was all studios, you know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. I was the live drummer. So that band, I could say, it's called Vixtrola, Vixtrola, and they're coming out back again with. They did a lot of those tracks were used for film and whatever, but I think they're trying to put it back together. It's 2 people, and then I was a hired rhythm guy, and then as a guitar player hired as well. But bass player and singer, that was the main, you know, whatever, the writing team. So there was that, and then I'm skipping all over the place because this is where it starts to go.
Yeah.
Really left a lot, you know, meaning left turns. In fact, the first thing, let me see if I remember this thing. So you just want to talk about albums, right? Is that what you're saying? Like, what did I track? Because I played in tons of different bands, toured, but no records and recordings were done.
Yeah, we'll just
Little recording.
I mean, at least for fans of yours who can be like, oh, I want to listen to more Al, but they didn't really know what you did after, you know?
And in terms of a non-player, I was, the Jimmy Sullivan, rest in peace, buddy.
Yeah.
The Rev, whatever. Yep. He wasn't the Rev yet. He was still little Jimmy. I worked with him on those first two records. I was a drummer. I produced the drums and tuned his stuff and all this stuff for him. And the connection was, now here you go. If you look for credits, you'll go, why's my name in there? Because that's what I did on the first two, whatever they were called. I don't even own them. You know, they were kids then. This was many years ago. Mud Rock produced the records, and of course, I worked with Mud Rock a lot, even before. In fact, that's how he wound up being our engineer and everything, because I was working with him and all these other bands. So I was doing I made records before Powerman too, with other bands.
Sure.
Mud Rock was engineering these things, and that's how I knew him. And I was like, yo, I have this new band. You want to do front of house for us? How about it? You want to do a record? Boom. Just, and then that was it. And that's how that began because I knew Andrew. And he wasn't Mud Rock. That was later. He was Andrew Murdoch. That's why his thing is Mud Rock 5000. His emails, because that's how it all began. He was, just like me, punk dude in the town, just trying to make your way through the music biz. Anyway, there's a tangent again for you, but it's leading back to whatever we just said again. What was the original thing?
Albums.
Oh, what did I do? Okay, yeah. So there's that, and then I'm trying to get a timeline here. It's kind of blurry. Especially when my time with Cypress Hill and Everlast and all that, that's where it gets kind of fuzzy, because those are fuzzy sessions, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I work a little bit with Cypress Hill. I'll just say that, and they can dig it up. All I do is look it up. Cypress Hill, I've played on some Everlast music, me and do some Fishbone and various other people. Because a friend of mine, he was their engineer and co-producer for a lot of that stuff, and it happened to be right down the street from where I was also doing a day gig. And then I was working at Schecter. Okay. So I left the band. I needed an immediate job. So I went and worked with Schecter because A, they were my friends, and B, it was a company, and C, I knew how to set up guitars and do all that stuff because I'm weirdo like that, and I like to do those things. So plus it helped me learn even more. So I took like a year. As I say, I went to school but got paid to learn this craft of setting up guitars and all that stuff. Yeah. So I did that, and all the while I'm doing that, I'm doing sessions. So some of those sessions were that right there. And I also did some things for, and that was DJ Muggs was the producer of that stuff. He goes by, in the Deontword world, he's known as the Black Goat because all of my buddies are Deontword. You know, that band, that South African duo? Yeah. I know a lot of people connected to that whole thing, and their producers is Larry from Cypress Hill. Anyway, it goes deep and dark and crazy. Those dudes are in the middle of fucking nutland right now. Well, the Zeph guy and whatever. Anyway, like I said, it gets crazy. As I was saying, I don't know what I'm saying about. I don't want to say too much. Anyway, they're all beautiful people, and so there was that stuff. And then from there, they had another thing called Soul Assassins. Soul Assassins was a group, an LA collective of all these hip hop people. Like Ice-T used to have his collective with whatever it was when he had Everlast and all those other people in the early days. I'm talking like early 80s and stuff. Yeah. In LA, hardcore, whatever you want to call it, gangster rap and whatever. With Ice-T and that sort of stuff, they had that little clique here, so that's what that was. So, I mean, I was told, well, this track you're playing on today is, Eminem's going to have this one, and then this one's going to 50 Cent. They would just come in and they'd all spit like 16 bars or whatever, and that'd be that. Yeah. So I don't even know what that is because I'd sit there with Muggs and the engineer and my friend and co-producer also, and they go, okay, yeah, just crack that, whatever, just go. In other words, they call me Rocker Al. Okay, Rocker Al, go for it. I'm in there sitting in a little fucking room, we're just banging out stuff, and then they chop it up and go, okay, cool. How about we do? And I'm like, okay, and then we do it, and then you chop it up, and then they just take it and throw it in the sample thing and just chop it up and do whatever they need to do with it. So that's how that stuff was created. And then that's what Soul Assassins was about. I don't have any of these records except the one. I have the Everlast record, which was a sort of big record for him because it was after that Whitey Ford thing. Yeah. And he had, it's called White Trash Beautiful, that's the name of the album, if you're wondering. And the other one they'll go look for because it's just like little... One of the songs I'm on, a dude's getting like he's getting cigarettes are burning in his face, and it's like N-word after N-word and motherfucking shit, and it's like all this craziness. Meanwhile, I'm kicking this like smooth jazz thing. But it's a torture song. Whatever. It's just a guy in a chair getting tortured. Anyway, on a lighter note, the next thing I think I did after that was a Tunisian group from Morocco. I was me and, well, let's see, eventually there was another American in there, but I mean, they're all Americans, but one guy's Egyptian.
Yeah.
So the oud player was, would be the string guy. The oud player was, not only was he Stuart Copeland's assistant, in Stuart Copeland, the guy from the police, he has the world's largest database of samples and whatnot. Well, this guy, his name's Omar, of course it is. He was his assistant, so he's from Egypt. But in America, he changed his name to Billy.
That's a different name.
Yeah, so we called him Billy, but his name was actually Omar. But I don't know why he did that, but whatever. Anyway, it was him, and then another dude, the singer, who was from Tunisia, which is in northeastern Africa. And then our keyboard guy was Israeli. So right there, you got an Egyptian, a Tunisian, and an Israeli. They're all mortal enemies in life. You know what I mean? In terms of the battle, in terms of that sort of stuff,
yeah.
Religions and whatnot. And then you got me. And this crazy guitar player guy, bass player dude, who's definitely out there active now. He's Eric Burden and the Animals music director. In fact, he just sent me a thing today. They're in Amsterdam today, so he's getting all nuts. They have a show tonight. But, Eric, the Animals, you know that band, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So he was the bass player, and then another guy named Ryan was on the keyboards, and that was that band. And we played for a few years, Meanwhile, I'm done with Schecter. I did that for 1 year. Oh, you know what? I skipped something. After Schecter, I immediately joined a Latin band. See what I'm saying? It's like I went everywhere other than where I was. I said, okay, I'm going left. Now I'll make an even further left turn. So, in that band, it was this chick was named Saida Alvarez. And she was signed to Sony Norte, which is Sony North in Spanish or whatever. So we would play all those markets, like Telemundo, and we'd South Beach a lot. We played Puerto Rico when it was amazing. Fucking destroyed. That's where she's from. In fact, she's from Puerto Rico. So we did that for a while, and that bass player was the same bass player. Once that thing imploded, however, holy shit! And then the fucking dude that produced that record was the same guy I just said that did all the Cypress Hill stuff. Do you see how it all connects together? It's like
okay.
this traveling little chain of this door ends, and like they say, the window opens, but it's all from the same sort of vein.
Mm-hmm.
But they led me to this chick, and they're like, yo, Al from, people didn't even, they're like, oh yeah, Al from Powerman, sure, he wants to do it, he's fucking hired, let's go,
Yeah.
So that was that, and then so we did that, and she was in Dallas, so I was like traveling around a lot. I was living in LA, she was in Dallas. So we would only get together, when we had to go tour and play shows. Plus she was trying to get a bigger deal. She had a deal already, but she wanted to get, whatever. In fact, holy shit, this is how it ended. Do you remember a TV show called Rockstar Supernova? Tommy Lee, Gilby Clarke, Dave Navarro, they were the okay.
I own the CD just because I think I found it for like $1 and I was like, I'll buy it.
Did you say DVD or CD?
The CD.
I'm talking about the TV. It's a TV show.
Yeah.
An actual, like a contest or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know what's on the CD, but if you saw this, I was at every night. I went there every night because I was in her band, but not on stage. She was in that thing.
Okay.
She was the person that sang in Spanish.
Okay.
Do you remember? She did David Bowie. She came out in like this bodysuit looking fucking amazing. She had this crazy top hat with a cane and shit. And she started singing Spanish. And then she started singing Spanish in her original music. No one ever did that either. And they loved it, but she didn't win, obviously, because...
Yeah.
But, so her name was Saida Alvarez, and it was insane because they were like, what the fuck? What is this? Because she's hot, and, she's singing in Spanish, and she can play the guitar, and she's very fashion-conscious and whatever. And anyway, so that's kind of how it ended, I think. And that, once again, if you don't win that thing, it's sort of a kiss of death if you don't.
Yeah.
Well, it could be that, too. It's also a kiss of death for some if you do win.
Yeah.
Any kind of contest. Any kind of contest or whatever. Because to me, music's... we act like a sport when we're playing it because it's physical, but it's not a fucking sport. You know what I mean? I don't contest and shit. And I'm judges. I mean, one of my dudes here is Alice Cooper, and I'm always helping him out with judging his contests and whatever. And it's like, fuck, man. It's like, it's cool. But It's not a contest, you know. But they win stuff, and it's good. You win some studio time, so I get it, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like at American Idol, how many of the winners can you actually name?
Well, I can name them all probably, but most people can't. They're not gonna tell me like that. My mother will call me out of the blue. Hey, did you see the blind kid won the thing the other day at the fair? I'm like, blind kid? Oh, yeah, the America's Got Talent guy. Right. Yeah. She'll fill me in if you get lost about what's happening, all the incredible musicians that don't have all their limbs or senses. Anyway, so after I did that thing, it ended, and it was all good and whatever, as far as I remember. We're still friends, so I guess that's good. Then that Tunisian thing happened, so we did that for a while, and we did some recordings. We did one record, and it's out there somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's not big in America. It's big in Africa, and, you know, places, well, he doesn't sing in English. He sings like, you know, he sings in Farsi or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. Once again, most of these bands, we were the only three guys that spoke English.
Yeah.
I mean, they spoke English, but their native tongue is whatever it is. I'm not sure. Whatever, something Farsi, maybe. I'm not sure what it is. It ain't English, that's for sure. But I learned a lot, too, because all the songs are called Henalina and all this crazy shit. I'm like, what the fuck's Henalina? I don't know, what does that mean? And then the American translation is like some vague, you know, whatever. The music style was called Rai, R-A-I, so if you ever want to look it up. Habib, what's the guy's name? The biggest Rai singer in the world is like, his name's Cheb Mami, Chebmami. I don't know how much on your Rai African music you are, but
I don't know.
you could spend your whole life in all the countries of Africa and just check out all their different types of music because it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Never need to listen to American artists again. It's so wide over there. Very rhythmic stuff, you know. But anyway, so there was that. And then after that, now I'm getting bored. Ooh, no, Mudrock steps in again. I did a record for a band called Snake Farm. Huh. Snake Farm was a great band of, once again, these duos. This Danish husband and wife team. Kind of sounded like Portishead meets the Sugar Cubes.
Okay.
If you know any of the bands.
I love Portishead.
Main thing for me, and it was great stuff. It was all these like folk tunes that were made like more current or whatever. And the main thing for me to play on it was to play with a bass player that I admired all my life, that no one cares about or knows. His name's Sebastian Steinberg. Most people would know him as the bass player who played in the band called, and of course, here I am forgetting the name of it, but I can see it happening in my mind's eye right now. But sadly, what's coming to mind is My Name is Mud, but I know that's obviously less than the guys over there. That's not what it is. But it's something like that, some quirky, like really big hit song in the late 80s, 90s from an East Coast band. I think it might have been Not the President of the United States. Remember that band?
Yep.
You ever hear that? Not them, but something along. Oh shit! I almost had it. God. It was, no offense to the President of the United States of America, and I'm not talking 45. I'm talking this band. They were good, but this is better. They were called. I see it's on the TOFT, tip of the tongue thing. Shit, man, I gotta know what it is though. I can see it in my head. I keep singing that Primus song though. Anyway, maybe I'll say it's. Well, oh my God, here I'm gonna do this. You can ask a question if you want. I'm gonna look it up right now because I have to do that. I have to look at it and see. Here, let's just do this. Bass player Sebastian Steinberg.
Anything coming up?
Yeah, it is. It's talking. Soul Coughing, that's the band.
Soul Coughing?
Remember that band? Soul Coughing, yeah.
Okay.
Their song, they had a huge song with, trying to find it if it even says it here. Once again, you are a little younger than, that doesn't mean you don't know this stuff, because I wasn't born when Beethoven was alive, but I know who that is. So you might know this, but you might not know, I don't know what you know. You appear to know a lot, so I'm trying to see what the name of that song was. It was crazy. It was whatever, but that's the band, Soul Coughing. And it was a huge song. Kind of funky, quirky, kind of indie rock-ish, like just weird, just weird, but great drumming and bass playing, you know what I mean? And everything, just great. It was a hit song, so, you know, of an independent nature. So it was happening, whatever the hell it was.
And, and that's what this bass player's on.
Yeah, and he plays on this record with
Okay.
After that, I'm kind of getting fuzzy here on this. I'm sure there's other things. It's just not a ton, but there's stuff that I did that didn't come out. You know, I mean, things like that. Those things get shelved or whatever. And
Sure.
did a lot of demos for a lot of metal dudes. I don't know why I get called for all these metal things, and I'm not really. That's not like what I would call my thing.
Yeah.
Like heart and souls in it. It becomes just like okay, let's go to work now. You know, not just I love it. You know, like that thing there at Snake Farm. It's just like, wow, this is cool playing with this guy, and his music's killing, and it's interesting and stuff. Not just pounding away. My fucking hands are killing me after I'm done. I didn't even do anything. I got nothing out of it. I don't care if I get paid $1 million. It doesn't matter. It's like I gotta get the feeling. I'd rather take your money. No, I'd take the money, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the money, It's like, I don't feel anything from this, so. That's what you want, right? If you're gonna hire somebody, don't you want to feel it? Don't you want to, like, really be into it? You don't want to just go halfway paint your house. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I want somebody that's gonna paint my house like a fucking painter. Like, paint that shit.
Yeah. Paint it and love it.
Yeah, that too. Love your job. Like, that's what was said to me a little while ago. Well, you know, it's like the old saying is, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. And I didn't say that. I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's exactly, there it is. And that was said to me by an 80-year-old person. That's not true. 12-year-olds and 80-year-olds in my world. So after the Snake Farm thing, I'm not sure. DYS is headed next within that thing, you know, coming up. Because I did recordings with them, but they didn't do like tangible, like it's all online, releasable stuff.
Okay.
I don't believe we did vinyl or anything, because if we did, I don't have it. Trying to, I don't. There's probably other things that probably big things that I'm skipping for whatever reason. But I'm looking at my thing here. I'm just looking at stuff. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I got with that. Like I said, DYS comes next, so that was if I skip something, let's skip, and then DYS was the last thing. And I knew all those dudes from Boston via LA, because when I lived in LA, there's a giant Boston connection there. In fact, stepping all the way back to True Force, you know, was semi-funded by Jason Priestley. That's how the 90210 thing kind of came in, because he was a silent partner in a record label that we were signed to at that time.
Okay.
Well, the daughter of the owners of that is the chick that's on 90210. She's also on 90210. Her boyfriend at that time was Jason, so, you know, me and him logged a lot of hours to get this. Is, well, spider knows any of this, but I'm like a friendly kind of guy. I like to hang out and stuff, you know what I mean? So I used to hang out with these dudes.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever. And so now all these years later, where did that lead me here? Priestley thing, what was that? True Force? What did we just ask me here? I went backwards for a minute because I had to.
Yeah.
To reference the people.
I hadn't asked anything yet.
The last thing we were talking about, because I said after, like the DYS thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Boston connection. So all those people moved to LA before us.
Okay.
So when I got to LA, you know, I moved these people. They're like, yeah, come on over, man. And then I find out, wow, oh shit, all these people live here too. And some of those people were the people that are in the current DYS band. And the current DYS band consists of myself and Jonathan Anastas, who was actually one of the founding people of a Boston hardcore band called Slapshot, and also, you know, a founding member of DYS with a guy named Dave Smalley. Dave Smalley is always on. He lives on tour. He's in like 900 bands. I mean, one of his biggest bands is a band called Down by Law. He's also the singer for All. He's a hardcore band. He's also was the singer for The Descendants, which is a band that formed after Black Flag with Bill Stevenson on drums.
Yep.
And our guitar player plus Dave has other bands too. I forgot what they're called. He has some new ones. I think it's called Sleep or Don't Sleep, whatever. Then he has a Mexican band, whatever. They're working. When this band's done, boom, next one. Like BLS. When BLS is done, Zach does Zach Sabbath. When Zach Sabbath is done, boom. I was just with those dudes like a couple weeks ago, and the whole thing happened all over again, because those people are old friends from way before Power. Those people, Zach and his crew. Anyway, so what the hell was I saying here?
The DYS guys, Boston.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the last guy. There's two other people. You got the youngest guy in the band. His name's Adam, and not me, but the other Jonathan found them scouring the streets of LA or whatever, and they found him, this young dude, like punk rock kind of a guy, an ex-Berkeley student. In fact, this is the hilarious part that he hates for me to say, but he'll never hear this. His guitar teacher when he was in school was a guitar player in my early band at Berkeley, because half these people that I just mentioned to you, all these old bands that I was in, they all run Berkeley now. They're all the professors. Like I said, these people play. They're not stupid, man. Half these people, they're all legendary people that you might not know because you're not in jazz fusion or, you know, all that kind of stuff. But these dudes are some of the heaviest cats in music, period.
Yeah.
That guy's one of them, and Adam was his guitar. I mean, this dude Adam, that was his teacher. And I said, "Oh, you know Dave? You know Dave?" And he's like, "Yeah, fucking failed me." I'm like, "Well, what'd you do?" He goes, "Well, I couldn't play changes over whatever jazz tune it was." I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course he's gonna nail you because that shit's serious, man. If you're not there, then he's, you know, this dude's. That's why he's a legend, and you're on the way to be that if you want to."
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's him, and then the last guy is Franz Stahl. He's probably next to the most famous guy, not me, but next to Dave Smalley and the other dude. No one knew I was in that band unless I said it, because no one in the hardcore world, they hated Powerman. Powerman was a bunch of bags as far as they were concerned, you know.
Yeah.
Rock world, because that's not what our crowd was. You know, we were too pretty boy and whatever, and like, what are these idiots with all their money and, you know, all this buses and shit. That's not punk rock, you know what I mean? Which we were broke too, you know what I mean? It's like no different, we're just different. So no one really knew, and I was like, yeah, you don't need to wave the flag of that. Just, it's all good, man. You got enough clout. I mean, put it this way, Franz just left the Foo Fighters to come with us, so there you go. And he was a Foo Fighter. Franz was. And Dave, see, that's a whole other camp connected with it. All the recordings were done with Dave's place, you know, roll with it. Mm-hmm. Because Franz and his brother had a band in the 80s in Virginia, and guess who their little drummer was? Dave Grohl was his first band. Dave Grohl was 18. So okay. Dave and Franz were best friends. If you've seen the movie, you've seen it. Franz is in the movie with Dave. It's when Dave's worst part of his life, other than, you know, the Nirvana situation and all that. Prior to that, or no, not prior to that, after that, you know, Franz was in the band. He replaced Pat Smear live on MTV Rooftop, that whole thing. Okay. That's Franz. So he did that whole run, but Franz is, once again, he's like a leader guy, so you can't have 10 cooks in this band. So it sort of splintered, and he went his own way, and Dave continues on. So, but the main thing I was talking about is Franz has the band Scream. And Scream is a legendary, like, path-cutting hardcore band from, you know, Virginia/DC. Not because they had Dave in the band, just in general. Yeah. With or without Dave. Just the other added thing is like, oh yeah, that's Dave Grohl's also, he was in that band. And there's footage of it. You can see it now. Just punch up fucking Scream in 19 whatever. They used to do the shithole tours of Europe constantly. They lived over there practically, just doing shitty. And then you got to call it audition. And next is history. You know? Yeah. Nirvana, boom. There you go. So he's out of that. So anyway, so Franz is in the band. There it is. That's BYS. And so we got all those people. So that's how we can get gigs, because there's people in it like them, not me. They know I'm there, but they don't understand. They're like, oh yeah, they made that weird band with us jumping around fucking suits and shit. So, but no one recognized. No, I don't care either. Whatever, it is what it is, and it's DYS of now and not then. Because they used to be a gnarly punk band, and now they're like, it's different. You know, another century or another decade. I don't know where I'm at with that. That's about that. As far as I know, like I said, we skipped into DYS, and that was the last time we played was over in Europe. We just did a bunch of things over there. And that's usually what we'll do. We'll do a run like 9 days. 9 days in a row, 2 days, a fly in, a fly out. So 11 days.
Bringing all of that up made me think of a question I did want to ask, but I had forgotten. What were some of the bands that you played with in Boston while you were with Powerman, like bands that you would share the stage with that kind of went on to...
I was in like 5 bands while I was in Powerman. Powerman eventually was the one that I stuck with because it started to move. Okay. I was playing with some heavy-duty dudes that are not world famous, but as individuals, not as bands. I was like an artist support system guy, you know what I mean? Because I could sing really good, and I could compliment you, especially if you were a great singer already. Yeah. I can help you out, and I'm also a drummer, and I play these other instruments too. So you know, it's an easy deal if you want me to be involved. If you can handle my energy, which you know isn't that nuts, you I know people way crazier than whatever, however I spit shit out, but so I was working with all those dudes, or men and women, both lesbian. That's the whole other thing. I did a lesbian band for a while. I was the only one that wasn't lesbian. You know what I mean? It's like lesbians love me because there's no threat, right? I'm like, I don't give a shit. Let's play once again. Let's rock, man. I don't give a shit. You take your clothes off. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Whoever sells some tickets.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know. So, would you say who played with us?
Yeah, just like some of the bands that you shared the stage with that,
Local bands or
yeah, local bands, underground bands, hardcore bands, metal bands, whatever. Just whatever was going on at the scene at the time.
Okay, so you're talking Powerman, right?
Yeah, during those days.
Okay, well, that's a massively large question because let's narrow it down to a smaller time period. Because when we first started playing, our first show we headlined because it was our thing. So we very rarely did we brought people with us. Oh, here you go. Here's a good example. G-Love and Special Sauce. Those were good buddies of ours. Adam produced their records. Early some of the stuff with Garrett. He was Garrett back then. I skipped me now. I'm thinking I was in a band with his drummer. I was the percussionist singer. And yeah, anyway. That was a whole fun thing. That was a whole other thing that I was doing. So anyway, what were you saying? So G-Love, those guys. You know that band?
No.
G-Love and Special Sauce. I hate to do either.
I don't know G-Love and Special Sauce.
It's acoustic blues hip hop.
Okay. That sounds interesting. I would listen to it.
Oh yeah, and the craziest thing is, eventually, now we're going back in time again. Everybody comes back where I'm at. Eventually, the bass player, I think he's still currently in it right now, was the bass player from the band that I just got telling you about with the crazy guitar teacher, professor, who flunked my DYS guy. He was in that band with me. His name's Timo Kielnecker, and he's a German guy.
Okay.
So he's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, it's just absolutely nuts how it twists back around again. So anyway, he's in that band, so that was a thing, not at that time, currently now. G-Love still exists. It's like Powerman, still exists, still going. Out of all the bands in Boston from 89 to now, those two still exist, and a very small handful do. So let me think of some other ones here. Morphine. Bands that really went to be well known. Morphine, Mark Sandman died on stage in Paris. You know that band?
The name sounds familiar.
Baritone sax, drums, and 2-string bass, slide, and vocal. That's it. 3 people.
Okay.
Fucking kill it. Morphine, that's what they're called. So it sounds like you're on heroin. It's real slow. It's like fucking. Mark is very well known for a band he had for years in Boston, in a world-renowned crazy band, or cool band called Treat Her Right.
Okay.
All those people moved on to other things, worked with David Bowie. All these people you never hear of because they're known within their circles, but they're not on the cover of fucking Ding Dong magazine. They're not on the cover of anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They go play the gig for 80,000 people and they go home and whatever. Just fucking, who cares? No one knows who you are. Let Peter Frampton be the star. I just want to go home and cut the grass. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so there I go again with the tangent. What the hell did I just say? Besides Peter Frampton and cutting the grass. So where were we at? What was I jumping on?
Morphine. Who?
There we go. More band. Okay, so yeah, I'm starting to kick in. My morphine drip. So those dudes were great. Let's see, another good band was Tree. I think they still exist. Dave Tree. The punk rock band, great dudes. We played together a lot. Bosstones, of course, Mighty Mighty Bosstones.
Yep.
Those dudes. In fact, the singer for the Bosstones is the mouthpiece for DYS. Like when you listen to their albums, he's the MC.
Okay.
He grew up. They had a gang. This is back in those hardcore days. This is the days of dumpster diving and homelessness and whatever and punk rock, street living, street punks. You know, they dumped dove and all this shit, right? So during that period, they had a gang called the Wolfpack.
Okay.
DYS has a very famous song. That's their big hit. We close every show with Wolfpack. That's their biggest album and their biggest song, and it's an anthem for hardcore and straight living, clean living, because they're straight edge. What were? Yeah. Straight edge, and no sex, no women, no alcohol, no drugs, no meat. You know, just straight clean living and clean everything.
Yeah.
But that's not the case anymore. But anyway, that was the thing. You know, the whole straight edge movement, like Fugazi and whatnot, and all those people. Anyway, so that's what that was, and Dickie was also like I said, the mouthpiece of that whole thing of the gang. Or no, not of the gang, but he was in that thing called the Wolfpack. So anyway, Boss Tones, and who else was there? There would be. I'm naming all these bands you don't know. If I did, these are the ones that I thought you would know because they went on to worldwide acclaim. You know what I mean? Still to this day, if you search it, you'll find them.
I know the Boston's, of course. But...
Yeah, of course, yeah. Letters to Cleo.
That sounds
familiar. They had big hits. They had lots of TV things and whatever, and like Melrose Place and shit like that. Tracy, well, she was not playing with us. Let's see, who else would play with us? Like I said, a lot of bands that they're gone, or a lot of bands that used to be on the label, like Half-Cocked. They would play with us. You know what I mean? Remember they were on the Megatonic thing. Johnny, he was in the band.
I found that CD.
Yeah, so
and I have it.
My Spider's world, but those were our friends. We're all in the rehearsal space together. We're all on the label together. Well, not on the label together. Well, I don't remember, but we're all friends.
Yeah. And
they were a band, and that's just basically that. So those people, Spider's ex, I don't know if he's married. I don't know what he's doing. But, what's her name? Oh, God. What's her name? Oh, my God.
Chrissy?
His ex-wife.
Oh, his ex-wife.
Dominique, her band, they were called Grind.
Okay.
They were on the label as well, and we used to play with them, or us, vice versa. That's how that all began. In fact, oh God, I could open up into all kinds of crazy shit, but I just don't. I almost said something I shouldn't be saying. But anyway, because it's fucked up and people are dead because of it and whatever, and it's all fucking crazy. But Weezer's involved. Oh, it's a nightmare.
Leeches.
I hate to laugh about it because it's all, I can't go there. But anyway, that stems back to that time.
Yeah.
Who else? I don't know. Too many bands. Is that enough or you want more? I'm digging deeper than ever.
No, that's cool. I was just curious on some of the ones that you would name off.
Those are the ones I remember. There's so many. I can name. I think I remember more than ones that you would never know, like Cobalt 60 and 6L6 and fucking Groovosaurus. And I don't think you would know any of these bands because they're just local bands from Boston that were happening but didn't cut through, didn't hit majors or didn't hit world, whatever. Didn't.
Yeah.
Roadsaw was another good one. I think they may still exist. That's some folks from our rehearsal space. They were good, heavy-duty bands. I think the drummer plays in that band Sasquatch right now. Have you ever heard of those people?
Sasquatch?
They're like a doom dirgy sort of heavy band.
Yeah.
Yeah, Craig. Oh God, I forgot his last name. But Riggs plays. Not Riggs from Zombie, but his name's Craig Riggs. Holy shit! Wait, Riggs. I'm thinking what's Riggs' last name, but never mind. Craig Riggs is the dude who was in the Sasquatch, but he was also in the Roadsaw, whatever, another band that we played with good people and all that stuff. And there's a shitload more. I just can't remember, man. That's just me throwing it off the top of my head. I'm probably leaving out somebody like, how could you forget us, man? I don't know, man. It's like it's a million bands. I'm lucky I'm remembering all that we're remembering right now. Remember what time you called? It's like it's fucking 2:15. We're like going a marathon.
Yeah, it's
we can go a little bit more, but so we can pick up the speed, or I'll try to be less tangent.
It's like I just want you to be you, so it's all good.
I give you the warning because I'll do this. They call it the monologue because I just sit there and unleash. I've been asked to open up shows. They're like, dude, come and open up for Marcus. It's so funny because your name's Marcus Miller, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know of a bass player named Marcus Miller? You must.
Yeah, I do. I bought one of his albums in New Orleans.
Okay, well, my buddy is his best friend. So, constantly, he's like, dude, when Marcus comes to town, here's what you need to do. Just walk up on stage, you'll open the show, just start going, throw out a subject to anybody in the audience, just say, fuck, saddle soap, and then just walk and start riffing, and that's how I go. Give me a word or a subject, and I'll have 9 times out of 10 some twisted story that'll unravel for like an hour and then turn back to where we started. You know what I mean? It's just like this nutty, like what we're doing now. Me even telling you another story. I guess it's the influence of touring with bus drivers because I would sit there because I was too weird to sleep on the bus.
Yeah.
When it was moving. So I would sit up there and I smoked cigarettes. So I would smoke cigarettes up front there with the driver. And they're just like telling me stories. They're like, oh yeah, one time HR was on the bus and we just opened the door and he walked right out. We're going like 40 miles an hour. He just walked right out of the bus and fell out into the street. All because he used to drive bad brains. This one guy. So I listen to these stories, and they're never ending because you got like 20 hours to drive. So these dudes are high on Pepsi and corn dogs, you know, and they're just going for it.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there listening and smoking, and that's about it. Not anymore, though. I don't smoke them there cigarettes. Just kill you. Took me half my life to figure that out, but I'm good now.
How long ago did you quit?
I can tell you. Here you go. Boom. It was March 31st, 10:30 p.m. 2009. And then I went on tour with, I was out with Zach Wild, those dudes. I was in a, oh, here we go. See, I forgot. I was in a band called Cycle of Pain. It's the bass player from, well, I don't know what you know him as, but he's the bass player of many things, but he's been Zach's bass player since they were children.
Okay.
So his name is John DeServio. We call him the Jesus. But anyway, he had a band called Cycle of Pain. It was sort of like a punk jazz metal thing. and I wasn't on the record. I did the tours. And the crazy thing is when we did this particular tour, when I got there, I didn't know who the support acts were other than us.
Yeah.
And it was everybody that I just left. It was fucking Seven Dust and Dope. All we needed was like, Static X, and I could be on tour again with Powerman, plus Zach.
Yeah.
Zach had a hernia, too. He had a herniated thing. He was all sick and shit. This is when he was still, like, I guess, drinking and whatnot. He was kind of ailing, so he was trying to get back together. He's all good now, but
yeah.
That was dark times. But anyway, I did those shows, and the first show was in Dallas, so that's the last time I think I saw Vinnie Paul and all those dudes. I hadn't seen him since the last time I played with him. So, and that's I think the last time I saw Vinnie, because when you play Dallas, Dallas is
of course.
You do the music. So
yeah.
Everybody from fucking Bob Zilla to all these people, oh shit, see, now when I played the band with him too. See, I fucking forgot. It's called Texas Rifles. See, all these crazy, I just forgot, man. I'm thinking of the LA times, like because they were bummer. They ended not, they just kind of fizzled away. And I was like,
yeah.
Shit. But yeah, so that's how, I kind of connected with those dudes a little bit. But, what the hell were we saying now? Where'd that end? I ended with Vinny. It blew my mind because I have a picture of him right here, like right in front of me. On the wall. Because where I live, it's like when anybody comes over, like, holy shit, man, how much is fucking admission? It's like walking into like a fun house, like Rob's house, like everywhere you turn, because I got no more space, man. I got shit everywhere, like literally hanging from the ceiling as an aerial mobile because like skulls and all the robot fucking heads we had on the amps. I have all that shit.
Yeah.
I have all that shit.
Okay.
I gave the backdrops away. You know what I mean? When the band ended with me, we gutted the space, man, and it was like, fuck, take whatever. So I grabbed everything, kept it, and I still have tons of memorabilia and whatever, but yeah, it's something to me, I guess. I still have it. I pay to keep storage on it, It reminds me of Rob. Have you ever seen his little archive, man? He's got shit everywhere. It's like if you ever seen his little video room, it's got like every format of every movie that he loves. It's on the acetate, it's on the DAT, it's on a fucking Blu-ray, it's on a DVD, it's on a VCR, it's on a VHS, it's on a fucking stone tablet, it's like whatever. It's on every possible, and I'm kind of that way, but not on that level.
Well, you show off a lot of your stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, there you go. And that's just daily things, I think. And little pieces. I'm slowly starting to do that because, like I said, we didn't have this internet, so I wanted to, for those who are into it, mainly the kids now that I work with now. And I have about 250 students, so they all see these things, and it helps them understand like where they could possibly go or what they want to do or not go. Some of it's like, don't do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. But yeah, I do post some select little things. Sometimes people will ask me, "Hey, can you put this thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if I can dig it up or find it or whatever," and all that. But yeah, I'm slowly putting little things out and finding stuff and. Like a surprise box every day, you dig through here. I was like, holy shit. Like right now, I was outside cleaning my porch or whatever, and what did I found, hell did I find? I found something. I'm like, oh yeah, I fucking found my House of 1,000 Corpses premiered, like my t-shirt from, like all these shirts I threw, when I moved here, I put all those shirts in a bag, like a zip, like a, what it's called, a black 35-gallon jug bag or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the porch still in a pile. Like Phil has almost porch. Ever seen it's like full of stuff, like clothes and shit all over the place. And some pictures that I've seen. pretty hilarious. But I dug through the bag and I'm like, holy crap! So I got a whole new wardrobe now. You know what I mean? Like back from what I had. There's a bunch of powder, Mega Kung Fu tour shirts with the radio on it. They were only for crew.
Man.
I'm like, holy shit, there that is.
Yeah.
My Art Blake shirt. I was wondering where all these. Oh shit! And the main thing that's leading me down this path is when we did the last show with the Reinventing the Steel thing with Dime and those guys, Pantera.
Yep.
At the end, the party at the end of the thing, we were in Paris, and the party was they built this. I don't know, let's call it a bar, but it wasn't a bar. It was a back room, but they had all kind of like. It was called Keith's Bar, like Keith Richards, Keith's Bar, and they made shirts and everything. And I was like wondering where those shirts went, and I have them. I just found them, like right before you called. I was out on the porch because my cat discovered mud wasp nest. I thought the cat was out there trying to scratch another cat, because cats come to visit.
Yeah.
She was letting me know that fucking wasps are building a nest down here, like kitty detective and shit. And I went over and I'm like, holy shit, it's like the size of your fist. The mud wasp, they built that thing on the side of the wall there.
Yep.
So I was just cleaning that shit, and then I just was like, oh, here's a bag here. I wonder if it got wet when it rained. And I opened the bag, and that's where I found all this stuff. Anyway, that shirt is from that, and it was like they had, how like they do. In fact, I heard that this is not true. When someone gets, here we go, that's a great subject. When someone gets murdered or whatever, and then you see like the chalk diagram around them.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They don't do that. That's just like a TV thing, like from movies, or where they don't that disrupts the crime scene. You're putting fucking shit there.
Yeah.
If anything, they'll put down like they do for bullets. They'll put down a little cone or little pylon or whatever, something, a little marker, not like draw a fucking picture of the position of this body all twisted and like a trace. So anyway, they had those all over the floor. You know what I mean? Like twisted, broken Keith Richards. Anyway, I found the shirts, and that's that. And that anytime when I go, they're like, "Look, Keith Bar," and then I'll unleash the fucking story. And it makes me think of Dime and that period of time, and Vinny and whatnot, and everybody, Rex, and the whole thing. It was great, but it was tragically sad. The whole thing about it. That's the whole other thing too. Like, there's so much shit went down. Like for me, when I was watching all that go, being in the band and stuff, and it's one thing being away, like out, like watching, like when Vinny passed away. It's like, I'm a million miles away. It's still stuck. It's a great moment, but when you're there and like right there, and something happens, and it's just like, oh man, this is just it's heavy, man. It's like, and believe me, other people have had heavier things than that. I'm just talking me personally.
Of course.
It was, it just makes you think about stuff in a different way. And as one gets older, I've come to find that you definitely start thinking things differently. Start thinking about life and death. More of that stuff, not to blow your world. I know you're fairly youngish, but what I mean. Death is an inevitable thing, so it's better to be aware and be prepared as opposed to if and when, well, not if, but when, not dwell on it and don't be fear it or whatever, but just to be aware and then know that, when it goes down with one of your friends or even someone you don't know that could be, I don't know what you want to call it, an idol or something, someone you admire, whether it's musically or whatever it is, that it hits you, fine. I get that every day at this point, because either someone that was an influence on me, like musically or anything, any kind of an influence of a positive nature towards me, if they pass away, that's a bummer, of course. And then some hit harder than others for whatever reason. Like for instance, people die every day. Chris Cornell and stuff and all these things, and they're killing themselves with all these things, whether they are or not, they're dying.
Yeah.
When Leon Russell died, I about lost my mind. I don't even know why. Just maybe because certain songs of his. Leon Russell was if you don't know, Wrecking Crew guy, very famous songwriter and crazy maniac dude, and whatever. But just something about it, I was like, man. And then you start realizing that, these dudes are older, but still. And he lived a long life, a longish life. He didn't die at like 27, or, these guys, Cobain, Hendrix, and whatnot. But, it just hits you in a certain way. And then you start thinking about yourself and your health and, just that stuff. So that's kind of another reason why maybe I'm not, I don't know for sure, I'm soul searching here. Maybe that's why I don't play a lot, much traveling around, because I'm wrapped up with what I do now. And to me, I guess this is more important. I think it's more important to spread the knowledge as opposed to via someone else, as opposed to me going and playing and all that stuff, and that really bugs me out. Like, I'm not giving my full self because I'm burned on the traveling and the no sleep and the shitty food and all that the process.
Yeah.
Doing the deed is jamming, but the process is I'm tired of it. I get tired of it, and I'm not saying that because I'm older. It's just, well, maybe I am older, yeah, but I'm more physically fit than I ever have been in my life, other than as a very young person. When you better be born, if you're born healthy. You know what I mean? Lucky enough to be born healthy, you're pretty good to rip and maybe, and for most it seems, from what I've seen, I don't know, from the people that I've traveled around with in my childhood life, everybody was pretty healthy up until, and then like, okay, well, you're starting to drink now, you're smoking, you're not exercising, all these things, you're eating shitty food, and then now you're turning into a different person.
Yeah.
And that's under your control. So I was that person, out of control. Now I like to think I'm more in control of what goes in and out of my body, etc., and also my ears. See, I was more concerned with my ears before. What goes in and out of my ears? Well, that doesn't really lead to a healthy body. That leads to a healthy musical approach, but not a body. If I have no body, then I'm not. The music doesn't make any sense at all. I got to be alive. So,
yeah.
And if I don't feel good, it's going to reflect in how I feel. So I'll feel like shit. I'm going to act like shit. Like I do. If I'm pissed, I'm going to be. I'm not going to. If I don't eat, same old thing. Cranky. You don't eat all these things.
Are your ears still good?
100%. Yeah. In fact. That's one thing that I talk to a lot of people about is when they wear earplugs. See, I'm not anti-earplugs. I'm selectively anti-earplugs. It's like I am 100,000%, because I get ear tests and I know, and I'm older, and I've had my ears blasted, but either luck or I did something right. However, it's a prolonged thing, I think. You know what I mean? Over periods of time, abuse. So I'm assuming that I was selective enough in how, when I used earplugs, that the prolonged, repetitive, bad sound didn't do anything to my ears. I like to think that I'm, like I said, really in tune. Hearing, I'm not perfect. I'm not talking like perfect pitch and shit like that. I'm talking, I have acquired pitch that's quite repetitive and learning and studying it that way. Yeah. Repeating it as opposed to knowing exactly, well, that's an A flat, whatever. I could do that just in, by practice. From practicing it as opposed to being, like I said, perfect pitch, born that way. So, but yeah, all good. Same thing with my vision too, and not to get into a deep subject, but I was blinded as a child, so I'm lucky that I can see. That's for another thing. You're talking music. We should talk about my physical life. How many times how long have I been in the hospital, or how many times have I smashed my head open?
Yeah.
I've never broken a bone in my body, but my head numerous times. I've never been arrested. See, I can tell you all these things. Never been arrested. I've never got pulled over. All these things in my life. I've been driving for 40 years. All this shit. It's crazy. I don't know why or what, but so anyway, yeah, I can see and I can hear like a motherfucker. And then, like I said, I got my health under control. I'm not vegan and not a vegetarian, but I cut back on certain things, and it's changed my whole life. Like right now, I probably wouldn't have. We've been on the phone for 2.5 hours. That really is. You know that, right? It's 2:30 or 2:28. Yep. It doesn't seem like that. I'm not tired. In fact, I'm like amping up. But if I didn't have to roll, I could sit here all day and fucking rap about all this craziness. That's the last thing you want to do is ask me about me. You know what I mean? Not to be pompous or like, but I know me. I know me. You know what I mean? I know what I do, and I know my good, and I know my bad, and I know, you know what I mean? I think being solo, like when I say that, I mean like I'm not married, none of those things. I didn't mean that. I mean just like utilizing and maximizing your time alone with yourself. I'm an only child, so I mean I'm an expert at that. I know what it's like to be alone, which is fine, and I can deal with that. Yeah. Not all the time, but I mean I know what it is, and you can see a lot of people that drives them crazy. Like you can't, you need companionship or whatever. My fucking companion was music. Yeah. That's why I buy records. You know what I mean? Because I put out the, hey, friend, man, what's going on? It's an old friend. The sound, the thing. You just put it on. It's like, oh, yeah. Nothing better, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, now I'm good. I feel like I'm in the band, you know what I mean? I shut my eyes and I'm like, I'm there. Yeah. So, that's not a grand tangent. I did warn you.
It's all good.
Yeah, cool. Like I said, I'm still good for now. I don't know where we just left off. What was the last thing we said?
Before the ears thing, I don't even know.
Oh yeah, hearing. That's what it was. Hearing. That's what it was. Hearing was that's where that led us. The hearing thing. But yeah, I'm all good with that. So yep, better than I would have expected if I was thinking about it. Considering, what I do and where I've been, and
Yeah. I was gonna ask. So when you went and worked for Schecter after leaving Powerman,
yes,
how was that? Like as far as like
9 to 5, 8:30 to 5:30 sucked. It's getting up in the morning and doing guitars all day long and coming home with raw fingers from what do you call it, steel wool and shit, and have to wear a mask. You're coughing up fucking black boogers and craziness because of all the soot. So it was good to learn that stuff, but got to get out of there as quick as I could because it's not my thing.
Was it a weird transition?
Oh, no, hell no. It was like going back to what I normally knew. Remember, I worked more jobs before the band, just working gigs, and I don't mean musical jobs, just whatever. The record store, the fucking Staples, wherever place, wherever I worked, and then it was like going back to another gig, but at least, you could party if you want, you know what I mean? You gotta be cool, but, you could do whatever. It's rock and roll, man. We're listening to fucking Howard Stern in the morning, and they're playing, I don't know, let's see, the rule was no death metal before 9 a.m., because we used to come in and one of my guys there would put on, like, Cannibal Corpse at 8:30 in the morning and like fucking blasting. I'm like, dude, Jesus Christ, man.
Not ready.
I fucked them up all one day. I put in everybody got to pick a record, like whatever, a CD. I brought in Gavin DeGraw. You know who that guy is? He had he's most known for writing a song for the, I don't know, TV show, but the record's great and all the players on it are great, but it's really poppy piano music. I just did that intentionally, but they grew to it. It's kind of a big jump from like heavy that stuff to that.
Yeah.
They can deal with it. But yeah, it was okay. Transition was fine. You know what it was? Could I pay my bills? I did a fucking transition. Yeah. Like I lived in a house. I had a house. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I was like a rock and roll guy. I had houses, cars, and shit. I had to pay for that. Once I left the band, those bills were still there.
Yep.
And so that was that. Okay though. I don't remember being wacky. I was with my friends, so. I'd have to do with that. Price was right. I had insurance, and that's about it. Everything was good from what I remember. Still friends with him, so usually if it ends and if I'm not your friend after, which aren't very many people, in fact, I don't even know if I have, somebody might hate me, but there's nobody I don't try to live like that way, I mean? I don't like watching my back. So I had to do that at times when I was a kid. I've been bullied on that crazy shit too, just like a little kid.
Yeah.
Just like my dudes, they're bullied and shit. But when they come to me, it's a whole other world. But then they have another world that they live in. You know what I mean? When they go there, they could be the greatest musician in the world. These fucking other kids, they don't give a shit. They're like, whatever. You know how people ridicule little kids, man. They do it. So I feel it, and that's another thing. Like, not only is it music that with these people, but it's like it's life. It's life. Like college, whatever you want to call it, it's life. To me, it's life. Life lessons in all things via music. And music, you can do many things with music. It's everything. It's math, it's English, it's everything. It's organization, it's everything.
It is everything.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's just, I don't know where to go with that. It's a big thing for me and anybody that's involved with me or on a musical thing.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Have you been to a Powerman show since you've left?
You know what's funny? A lot of my students' bands have opened up for them, but I have never seen them play. Honestly, that music, just because I was in it in the beginning or were part of the creation of it or however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
The music they do now is not made for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not like that's not what I. And no offense to the band, but we're on a different plane. Let's just say.
Yeah.
We were older. When I say I mean me, Dorian, that's what I mean, me and Dorian.
Yeah.
We were older a little bit, we came from different places, you know, that's got to do with things, you've just heard a good bit of like what I've been doing, so you know where my head was at in this whole thing, and I'm not saying anybody else in that current band doesn't have a crazy story, because everybody's got their own crazy story.
Yeah.
But just like I said, due to whatever worked with us, it all aligned properly.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just leave it at that. You know what I mean? Like, we should do a reunion. I'm like, yeah, but then if something goes stupid, because it would only be for money. You know what I mean? What's the point? It's like getting married again, only for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and then you don't see each other ever again. You know, it's like that, but you get paid or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess if you're satisfying fans or whatever, that would be the only thing, which is what it's all about anyway, because without them, you've got nothing. I can make a record and no one buys it, like the tree falling in the woods. If I'm not there, does it make a sound? I don't know. Well, you know it does, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to... So it's all about the fans. If not, then we got nothing.
Sure.
We got to have a product, obviously, but you got to have people there. So that would be the only thing. But I like I said, people ask me, like Charlie from Anthrax, like, dude, you left the band, like you're on top, and then how do you do that? How can you just leave?
Yeah.
Like, because it was over. Because the time was done. If I'm going to leave, now would be the time.
Yeah.
At the peak of wherever that was, instead of like in the middle somewhere, and then I'll always regret where it would go from there, or you know, whatever. Or maybe I would regret. Maybe I would. I don't know.
Sure.
But I'm like, it's over. Like, it's done. You know, when it's like cigarettes. Boom. Yep. Getting back to that, it's been 11 years. But how do you know when it's done? When your body's like, yo, it's done.
Yeah. You're just over
I quit cold turkey. I tried to quit a million times. See, we're back to smoking now. Same deal, though. I tried to quit a million times, and it just didn't happen until I was like, you know what? In my mind, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. And that was it.
Yep.
Oh, just a quick story. I quit smoking, and then I went with JD and those dudes and Zach or whatever. And then I never met. I joined another artist. I went on tour in Europe again with this amazing blues guitarist. His name's Lance Lopez. He's currently in rehab in Nashville. This is a whole other story. The drummer before me was a dude from Hendrix.
Okay.
So that led me. I was like, holy shit, it was Buddy Miles. Buddy Miles was his buddy. Buddy Miles was his buddy. And if you're connected with the ZZ Top world and the Billy Gibbons and all that, these people are all part of this thing too. So that's a whole other clique that I roll in the blues world. And that's what happened with that. I finished the run with JD, and then I went to Europe with this guy Lance Lopez for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever the heck it was. But if you've ever been to Europe, or if you know anything about Europe, especially, we were playing the Eastern Bloc places, so we were like rocking the consulate in Serbia, and we're in like fucking chasing vampires in Romania and stuff, you know, all this crazy shit. We were doing all these wacky shows. We played for like the Serbian mafia and all this nutty, crazy, just trio with bass, drums, guitar. We had never met. I met him on MySpace, you know, and he knew me from the band. He was a kid. He's probably your age. He was a kid-ish, you know. I was 15, 20 years older than him, but it didn't matter. We saw a little sort of the same.
Yeah.
So I went with him, and to do that, of course, everybody in Serbia and all these places are smoking constantly. So I was surrounded by cigarettes, and that made me go, wow, I guess I was done, because this is making me sick. Just seeing these people smoke and just breathing it and whatever. That was an amazing run, and we capped that off with a very, if you're familiar with, like, in America, back in the day, we used to have shows called Don Kirshner's Rock Concert, and then in the whatchamacallit, the Wolfman Jack had the Midnight Special, all these things where current rock and pop bands would play, but they would play live. It wasn't like tapes and shit.
Yeah.
Well, in Germany, in Cologne, they have a very well-known show that's called Rock Palast. It still goes on, obviously, and so that was one of my missions with this gig, because it wasn't just shows. We were doing some heavy-duty things, and one of the things was recording a live DVD at this live TV show. So, and then we were out with Joe Bonamassa. Do you know who that is?
Yep, guitars.
Anyway, and then his bass player, I was in it to see, here you go again, this is how it unravels. His bass player, Carmine, who I know from David Bowie and all this stuff back in the day, he and me and Carmine were in another Latin band. See, I forgot about this. Is one that I left off because she didn't do any me recordings. It was some chick, same thing. It was a chick. Her name was Anna Sidell, and he was the MD and bass player for this thing. Now he's known for, you know, touring with Bowie. He was his bass player, and he's all Rod Stewart, and you know, all this stuff. Oh yeah, holy shit! See how it turned around again. The other big thing that we did in Europe with Lance, this thing I just said after we did the Rock Collapse, we did shows with Rod Stewart.
Okay.
Which was during the period when Rod was doing that Frank Sinatra sort of a thing.
Okay.
Where he was dressed, they were all in pink, and the stage was white shag carpeting.
Yeah.
I got an argument with the fucking sax player. This chick, she's freaking out. So I wasn't moving my shit fast enough. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I got a crew over here. I'm all alone. You can do my shit. Anyway, she didn't get crap. But that was the other thing, the Rod Stewart thing. So that was incredible, and that was a great little thing right there just to do that. So anyway, you should check that out. Rock Collapse. You can get it. In fact, it's the DVD and the album. It's called Salvation from Sundown. Okay. It's Lance Lopez. And it's the DVD and then the album. I'm on the DVD live. It's funny too because in Germany it's like Japan. You play it and the crowd is like silent, and then they go wild. But it's pretty weird. But anyway, so that's the documentation and proof of that. Plus, there's other many things like I'm not going to get into it, but like 2 or 3 at least near-death experiences. That's the whole other subject there. How many near-death experiences have I had on the road? What I call near-death experience. That's a whole other interview. When you do your near-death experience series, what do we call road stories and whatnot. Dark road stories that end in living and almost dying, but you know. But anyway, so yeah, the Lance thing, I don't know where else that led me. I went back to the cigarettes and that was the story. So I went off again, but that was a neat little story. And it also answered your question. You got Anna Sidell out of there, another band that I played in after Powerman, and also Lance. You know, the crazy thing is the dude that was in the Anna Sidell band before me as a drummer was the guy, he went to go play in Dweezil's band, that plays Zappa thing, you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, so my friend Joe, once again, these are all Berkeley people. Everybody in the music business, whether you know it or not, is pretty much either like successful, like really successful, or fairly whatever.
Yeah.
Those their music, you know what I mean? And half these dudes that I know are all from school or some educational situation, or some, you know, clinic or whatever, some, you know, higher level playing. So anyway, Joe was that guy, and also another dude. He's currently in White Note, like White Snake. He's a dude who plays the fucking everybody, but he was a drummer too. Once again, it's a gig. Like this week it's this guy, this week it's that guy, next week it's this guy, this month it's that guy.
Yeah.
Work is work is work. LA, it's like a rotisserie of players. If you can get in that, you know, circle of players, you get the call and you just go and do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Carmine, I don't know what I was leading to, but yeah, he was the bass player for that thing with Joe Bonamassa, and you should look that up and check it out, because you'll get to see me play like shuffles and shit that you probably never saw me play. You probably only know Powerman stuff, but this is completely different. Blues. Like ripping Texas rock blues. I mean, Billy Gibbons was like his grandfather. His best friend was Johnny Winter, you know what I mean? His last drummer was fucking Buddy Miles, and the bass player was Tommy Shannon from Stevie Ray Vaughan Double Trouble. You know what I mean? It's all this, that's the shit I was getting into, but it's not, if you know it, cool. If you don't, we don't wait the fuck. I can care. I mean, I just dropped Stevie Ray Vaughan's name, and his name is Gospel, you know what I mean? And that's these guys, I'm like, hell yeah, these motherfuckers, hell yeah. Let's do it. So, and that, but I don't talk much about that, but yeah, that was some of the coolest shit I ever did. For me. Yeah. You ain't never heard it, but you know what I mean? But it's happening. So anyway, that, wherever that was, that went sideways, but you got what I'm saying? You got more stuff out of it. I don't know what the original question was, as I said.
Well, at this point, because yeah, we're almost 3 hours in.
Yeah. I'll give you 15 more minutes if you want. 10 more minutes, and then we're out. I'm looking for my coffee. I set it down. I can't find it.
I was just gonna say, if you got any of them crazy stories you want to tell.
Rock is like that. If you're a student or if you want to learn how to play music, that's definitely a place to go. That's a cool environment. Well, at least if you're with me, I can't necessarily speak for all teachers all over the world, but I can just say that the program, if they're doing it the way I do it at School of Rock, it's happening. It's a good performance thing for kids all the way to adults, and that's basically it with that thing. You know, it made my whole world great in a different kind of a way, you know? And it's cool to see people breasts and whatnot.
Yeah.
And once again, it's almost like being in the band without having to do all that stuff. Like the other night, I'm with Lorraine and we're trying to escape somebody. People are chasing them and shit, trying to get autographs and pictures or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're into the bowels of the into the venue or whatever. And then all of a sudden, some girl and a guy are near this door that we're about to go in that leads to like our area or a private area where only bands and people like that can go.
Yeah.
So this girl first, she slipped the door and she goes, "Oh my God, you were so great. Can we get a picture? Oh, can you sign my whatever?" And all these things. And he's looking at me like, "Oh fuck, here we go." And then she looks at me. She goes, "Wait a minute. I know you." She's pointing to me. And he's looking at me. I'm looking at him like, "Oh, what the fuck, man? Oh shit." And I thought she might have been like a Powerman. He thought that. I did. I was like, "Oh no, what this is all about." He's giving me like the signal, like, "Let's go. We gotta go." And then he blurts out, I said, "Hey, do you have any kids?" Which is a weird question to ask someone you just met. You never met him. Like, "Hey, you got any kids?" And I was referencing the school. And she goes, "No." And as I said, that door was like, "School rock." She goes, "Holy shit, that did." And I'm like, "Holy shit, I know you. Yeah, I saw you 3 weeks ago. Like, this chick was in the adult program."
Yeah.
Which happened on Sunday mornings at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm barely awake at that time, although I'm there. And that's what it was. I'm like, "Oh shit." Then I started talking. It's like, we gotta go. Because once I start talking, it could be this. And it's 3 hours later, and we're like, "Where'd time go? Why are we so tired? What happened?" So anyway, that was weird kind of craziness that just went on the other night. Pretty funny. But yeah, the school thing, man, it's happening. So if anybody, I would do it. Try it out. You get a free lesson. Just come on in and, take a trial lesson, check it out, see if you dig it. They have them in Vegas, I think, right? Don't they? There's got to be one in Vegas. If not, they're ridiculously stupid. We have 4 here. I do. 4 schools.
It's the School of Rock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the number 1 franchise in North America, maybe even worldwide. Number 1 or number 2 right now. Performance educational franchise, number 1.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I know we've got 2 or 3 for sure. We might have more, but I know for sure we have 2 or 3.
Yeah, because I come from the LA system with that. It was me and all the dudes from Fishbone and Tom Morello. Like I just started telling you, my dude that's playing bass with Tom Morello, he was the MD at my old School of Rock back in the 2000s when we started doing that.
Yeah.
Tom was there all the time. Everybody's there. Eddie Van Halen, just hanging out, man, because we're playing. This is happening.
Yeah.
I don't need to go to them. They come to us now. I don't need to find James Simmons. "Hey, what's up, dude?" Whatever. "All right, everybody. See you later." We had Michael Anthony sing with the band. We got people come down. Dude, Kiss come down, play with the kids. Alice Cooper, he hangs out. I was just with Rob Halford the other night.
Oh, yeah.
He did with the kids, It's all online. I mean, if you look at my post, it's all there.
Yeah.
I don't out it too much. I just put, just another day. It's kind of funny. All of a sudden, because Halford lives here. I didn't even know that. He lives like 3 miles away from me. I had no clue. A lot of people live here. Michael Schenker, fucking Halford, the dude from Insight, Felix's kids, Felix Cavalera, those people, the Sepultura people.
Yep.
He's here. His son is here. The band Insight.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, they're here, and then various other whatever bands, and Alice, of course, lives here, or whatever, you know what I mean? That whole clique. He has a school too. It's called the Solid Rock Foundation, and I do stuff over there too with him. It's a volunteer sort of a non-profit thing for like challenged people and whatnot, and dudes that are poor and that type of thing. And their parents are incarcerated, whatever. Just people that can't get it together. You either don't have any money, or you are in juvenile detention, or you just got out of jail, or whatever. All these things that help people to get music and get. He has a very Christian thing over there because that's what saved him, obviously. The alcohol, the 12-step situation, spirituality, the whole deal.
Yeah.
That situation. What do you call it? Sober living and whatnot. Because Alice, of course, he's a living example of a dying person. The guy was. Yeah. He's like Keith Richards, he looks way better.
Yeah.
Keith is another living example of a dying person. It's like, what is up, man?
Yeah.
You don't even need makeup. You could just go right on any dead show, like a zombie show, and you're set to go. No makeup, man. Straight up.
Just
a little bit.
All right, Keith. Just be yourself, and we're gonna film you.
Yeah. Climb some trees, fall down, break your face open. He did. I saw recently. He was like playing all sudden. He does a face plant right on the stage. Gets right up, and just starts walking. He's like 80 or something.
So,
keep rolling, man. Bag of bones.
how long have you been doing the school?
Let's see. So, wow. 15 years, 14 years, something like that. I don't know, 26, 7. Let's see. 6. Let's round it off like 14 years, something like that.
Okay.
Since the mid-2000s. 2006, 2007. We're at 2019, so.
Love every bit of it?
Yeah. It's a thing where what's better, there's no pressure really, and it's plus on my own thought. I mean, yeah, I'm fired, but yeah, because I'm supposed to be there, I can't be responsible. But other than that, yeah, I do my own thing. I create my curriculum. I know. See, the other thing too is like, out of all the people that are there, and there's some people. I got one guy from Flotsam and Jetsam. He's on tour right now, and there's another guy who's in a band called Ghost Ship Octavius, who just left for Europe right now. We're on tour. They're playing. He's missed his flight, but those bands, Flotsam and Jetsam.
I do.
Okay, well, Steve, what's his last name? Starts with a C. Doesn't matter. I know him as Steve, the guitar player from Flotsam and Jetsam. He's a cool guy. And we just pass in the hallway. Go, what's up, man? How you doing? And I'm friends with Jason Bittner, who's in, I don't know, he's in Shadows Fall, but his other band that he's out with now is like, you know who I'm talking about?
Yep, he's in Overkill now.
Who's he out with?
I think he's in Overkill now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Overkill. Oh, they're out together. So he's with them, and so is Flotsam right now. I think they're doing whatever. Steve's out of town. Okay. So there's that, and then the other one's called Ghost Ship Octavius.
Yep.
They're sort of not satanic, but dramatic metal band, kind of.
I know Matthew Wickland's in that one.
Okay, well, I know the main dude, like Adone. He's my partner. We direct shows together. He's also one of the vocal teachers and other people at the school. Okay. He's really young, though. He's like 21 or something. Meanwhile, I'm like 800. You might remember, I'm almost 60 years old, buddy. You don't know that, but that's the truth.
Yeah. Nah, you're 42.
I'm older than all these motherfuckers. I'm older than all these dudes. I'm an old man. I was always the youngest guy in the band. Then the tables turned where I always became the oldest guy in the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But anyway, well, at least when I say that, I mean, if I'm rounding things off, I'm closer to that number than I am to 50. So, that's what I'm saying. I embrace Ed's wisdom. To me, because I'm learning stuff, I feel that I am. It's like the longer it goes, the more that I know, I feel. The more ammunition I may have for whatever I need to talk about.
But do you feel that way, though?
Oh, hell no. I feel like I'm ready to go on fucking tour, kick ass again, just like I'm ready to go.
Exactly.
I like to be ready to go. I'm locked and loaded, as our buddy would say.
Good.
It's almost too much sometimes. I have to let steam out by when I'm doing things.
It's good that you've been keeping busy. Obviously, you said you keeping in shape, in the best shape you've ever been in.
Yeah, in my mind, I feel like, man, if I look at myself, well, even when you got people going, dude, what's up, man? Like, I don't know, I'm just trying to. I'm conscious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Woke. I'm woke.
Yeah, you're woke.
as they would say, in terms of my body, what's going in and stuff and all that.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time when people were even worried about old Uncle Al and the band. They were like, what's wrong with that guy? Is he only getting drunk? I'm like, no, man, I'm just doing things that anybody else would do. Only you're looking at it like something different. And I'm good. Like I said, I could talk all kinds of different things. Like, Bob and I having a meeting about me having an issue, which was not the case. But we had the meeting. It's like, yeah, I'm good, buddy. It's all set. Don't worry about me. I appreciate you caring or whatever you want to do. Or, whatever. But I'm all good. I'm all good. Now, if it starts interfering with the band, with making the show, that's a different story. But, if I want to drink or take a Valium or whatever after the show, hey, I'm a man. I'm a grown person. I can do it. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not trying to. You know what I mean? If you think I'm trying to, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I want to live, man. I want to die. Sometimes I just need to relax a little bit and escape into my own space.
I think that's important.
Everybody.
That's important for everyone. Everyone needs to just fucking relax,
Yeah, because when you're in a band, you're surrounded, and if you have a little bit of notoriety, no matter where you are, even now, you're on camera or you're on tape or something. Like right now, we're on Hello America or World or whatever.
Yeah.
We're on tape, you know what I mean? Like everywhere you go. I'm even at school, and all of a sudden the computer will go, hey, what? And I'm like, I didn't say that. What the fuck are you? You're listening. You're hearing me. You know what I mean? So it's like, That's like being in a band. Everywhere you go, somebody wants something. Can I have a picture? Can I have your? It's all great. I appreciate that. But sometimes it's just like, that's the wrong time, man.
Yeah.
Wrong time. You know, you need a moment. You need a moment. So some of those moments for me were really quiet and like slow moving, and people, would appear that something's up, man. Because when you keep things away from people, that's the number one sign of like, well, something's up, because they're secretly doing whatever they're doing behind closed doors or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I'm not behind closed doors. I'm right here. Right, the door's right there. Come on in. I live on a fucking bus. Come on.
So I'm gonna ask you one last question.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're ready for this.
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Where's the best tacos?
In Vegas or where?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Well, I can tell you this. Anything that you make yourself is always the best. So outside of that, recently, I don't do a lot of that type of thing, especially with the meat thing. But
yeah.
Are you aware that I think it's Del Taco has that Impossible Taco or whatever or something?
Yeah.
I had that, and I was like, see, I have a thing about salt and sugar. I can't do a lot of it. I have to monitor that.
Okay.
And any processed food has lots of salt and whatever, sodium and this and that. So,
sure.
But that thing was pretty good, man. And then I'm not a massive taco connoisseur, although I like them. And I've had all the terrible ones. I've had food trucks, which are better than Taco Bell or whatever, those kinds of places.
Yeah.
But yeah, shit, man, I don't know. I would probably go, like I said, with something that you make yourself, or some sort of taco that's laced with CBD or something.
Yeah.
Now, once again, you said taco. You didn't say like what kind of taco.
I just said taco. So.
Yeah, anything that's medicated, I'm good with that myself in terms of CBD stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, but I would try that vegan thing. That's pretty good. It's interesting, if at all anything. Like I said, it's like music. It's like a thing, and I'll try it just to see. And, whatever. Yeah. But that's the last time I had a taco, and it was okay. So I don't know if that's the best, but it's allegedly healthier, possibly.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm on this thing. I'm being aware. I'm awareness. Like okay, really nitpicking, but that's how you got to do apparently. Because if not, then you wind up where I was. Blood pressure's off the fucking chart, pre-diabetes, all these things. So you got to watch yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your favorite talk? Where do you go? Where do you go? What's you go?
Here in Vegas, my favorite taco place is Taco y Taco.
Yeah, I don't know it. Probably don't have it here.
But my favorite chain, which is also local here, is Roberto's, and I go there often.
Yeah, I don't know it. I mean, I haven't been to Vegas in a while, and I'm not that far really, but I'm so what I would call locked down in in a schedule. I'm a schedule guy, you know what I mean? Like I not meticulous, but I like to have a schedule. I like organization.
Yeah.
I like to be organized. Yeah. I like to know what's happening. I don't know what that means, if that's anal or OCD or whatever. I'm not technically diagnosed as that, but I like things the way I like them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Even in my studio where I sit, I reach to the right, there's this. I reach to the left, there's that. I put this here, I spin around, I'm at the kit. I spin around this way, I'm at the keyboard. You know what I mean? It's just, it's all there. I don't have to worry about shit.
Yeah.
That's like me recording. If I'm tracking and I have a computer issue, that messes up my creative flow. And then I go, fuck you, computer, and then I stop.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost my creative flow. I didn't track anything. Frustrated. So that's are you outside? You're in a wind tunnel?
Yeah. I just stepped outside.
Like you're entering a helicopter or something.
No, I just stepped outside.
Air Force 5.
No, I'm good.
Cool.
Okay. So for now.
Yeah, exactly. To be continued, probably.
For now, we will leave at least this session at this. Who knows? We may talk again.
You know where I'm at, man. You can always text. Just hit me with whatever, and with questions or whatever you got. I got a few people like I let you know. That obviously you've been down for a long time, and I appreciate that. You're still there. You know, we lost a lot of people just because they grew up and didn't care anymore. I guess it didn't mean that much to them, but like for me, I still wave the Black Sabbath flag. They meant something to me, and then you know, and they don't exist, sort of. You know what I mean? Not that I'm comparing us to them, but I mean,
yeah.
Things that meant something to somebody at one time, and then it's a part of your life. And this seems like this is the thing, even though you know now me and then Spire and whatever. But outside of that, it seems like you were really down with what was happening, and that's the best. Thanks.
No, thank you. You know, you're
all good.
You're the one that made the music, and you're the one that decided to let me talk to you. So
I'm the one who started to stop the music. It's musical chairs. That's always it's like a professional version of musical chairs, and here we are. And they're still going, and it's cool that they do, in a general sense. You know, it keeps it alive, and into this day, like the other day, boom. One of my students' parents was like, "Their drums are great on the," and then of course it's Powerman on Sirius Radio or whatever. Yeah. It's only worldwide and things like that, but at least it's something. They still keep it alive and still keep it, you know. It meant something to somebody somewhere. No one's making any money off of it, you know what I mean? So it's there for pure enjoyment at this point, you know, so that's what it was for anyway. Enjoyment and fun and whatever, you know. I don't know, it's like Spider, I think he said this. We didn't intend to be like whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, rich and famous. I never even thought about it. That's not, I mean, I thought about it, but that wasn't the thing. I was a musician that wanted to work, you know, and play, and finally found some people that are cool, you like to work with, and
stuff happens.
Whatever you're putting together, people are responding to it in a mostly positive way. You get both, but you know,
yeah.
90% of it seems to be positive, and that's what you want. You want to spread a positive message, whether it's with a guitar chord or a drum beat or a vocal or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
That's my mission, just to spread love, I guess. It's weird as that.
I feel the love.
I love it. So, I mean, you're getting an extension of my love, you know, in a sense.
Yep.
So,
I feel that.
That. You know what I mean? So.
I will say, which is not uncommon, I heard When Worlds Collide on the Tony Hawk game, but
sure.
The first album that I went out and bought was Mega Conquer Radio instead of Tonight the Stars Revolt, which was kind of a odd decision considering, you know, When Worlds Collide is what made me go buy an album, but instead I was like, I'm gonna buy this one.
I kind of do the same thing too when I started getting certain artists. I can name like Frank Zappa, for instance. You know, when I was a kid and growing up, whatever, I heard certain music, but I was like, you know what? The first thing I don't remember what the first one was, but I wanted to go chronologically to find out, okay, well, if this is where he is right now, and this guy's like, you know, I'm hearing about him, legendary, you know, composer, maniac guy, crazy, you know, whatever, ripping guitar player, all this crazy, great musicians he plays with, and visually crazy and whatnot, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to go back to the beginning. And when I went back to the beginning, I'm like, holy shit, this is how this started, and here's where we are now. And I was like, whoa, and that made me a fan for life. So I like to watch the progression of things, and that's kind of what you were doing. That's all you could have gotten, because there was not, True Force was probably not available to you then. Might have been, but I don't know if you were aware of it, but the other one would have been the Mega, and that was a good one to check out, because that sort of was, that's definitely the beginning, you know what I mean? The raw.
It's still my favorite.
I'd have to lean in that direction as well, because, like I said, for a lot of reasons, not just musically, but just the feel of it, and here's the closing statement. The best time to be in a band is on the way up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on the rise. Because once you get there, everybody always says, they go, "Is this it?" And then they kill themselves or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, this is it. You know, you build it up and build it up. Like one time, I'll never forget it when Spider, he said something about that.
Yeah.
Like we won something, or we're platinum record, whatever, and like there's nobody going, oh fuck yeah, man, high five each other and all this shit. We're just like, yeah, cool, man, all right, let's roll on, great, nice, okay, on to the next show. Let's I'm thinking to myself, yeah, let's just take it, and that's cool. That means we're accepted somehow, and then let's just keep writing, and maybe we can just keep doing this, you know, if this keeps happening, and then, you know, you start thinking about, wow, all the cool tours we could do, and then we can start building ramps and shit, and all about the show and, all these things. So, where I left off again. See, I'm going off. All right, it's 5 after 3. I guess I got to roll. I got to start here at 3:30.
Alrighty.
Let me I know you have to probably do a ton of editing here, but do the best you can, I guess, and let me know when you got something, and then I'll check it out. And if there's anything you need to fill in some blanks or whatever, just text me, and then if I'm able, I'm pretty quick on the phone here. If I can, if I'm locked down in a session or whatever, and obviously I can't, but
Yeah.
But yeah, hit me. It doesn't matter. Anytime. It's all good, man.
Sounds good.
Well, good to meet you. Thanks for thinking of me and the band and whatnot. And, yeah, hopefully you got some stuff out of here that somebody wants to hear. To me, it's what I spit out every day if someone asks me a question like you did. So, you definitely dug out. You dug deep on some things and made me rethink some other things, which was kind of interesting to relive for the moment. So thanks for that. But all good.
Yeah. Got your...
Now I'm going to meditate and get ready to do guitar lessons today. We're working on, actually, Mazzy Star music, if you know that.
I love Mazzy Star. Yeah.
Lost group, yeah. We're working on that stuff today. I have a new guitar player. She's trying to get it together, and she bought some really good gear, and now she just wants to get that thing playing. So,
Cool.
and that's that. All right, man. Well, good to talk to you again, and just hit me if you need, and be safe out there.
All right, you too. Appreciate it, Al.
All good, man. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.